Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
You don't see the curvature of the earth. That stuff is flat.
GLOBEBUSTERS taking over. Bye bye moon man and rover. NASA so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster, but the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is. Get the shovel for the space hubble, piecing up the puzzle. Need to burst your bubble. Evil gonna crumble, yeah. Sit down and be humble. Got the ball, you better fumble. You'll get mad cause at this fight involves your uncle.
And then they call me the liar. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable the pathetic techniques that they have to use to prove their heliocentric model.
Vibes at the president, Jeran got the evidence. Eros laying Jesuits and Zack is evident. That the earth electric and it's resonant. Your residence is heavens and I hope to settle in like some sediment. If we so wrong, why they lying to discredit it? That's not too intelligent. That's a guy, not an in court, but we ain't really in the settlement. It's time to awaken from the pseudoscience sedatives.
GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Bye bye moon man and rover. NASA so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster, but the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is.
Inner World Productions.
Welcome, everybody, to GLOBEBUSTERS. We are on to Season 12, believe it or not. Episode 1. I'm your host, Jeran from Jeranism. We've got some guys here with me. First, we've got Mr. Zachary Zabala. Good times for all. Zach, what's up?
Jeran, what's going on, man?
Doing well, thank you very much. And we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Austin Witsit in the house. Austin, what up?
What's up, brother?
Same old, same old. Let me start the show. I know this is going to probably be very boring for everyone, but I'm going to go through a list of everybody who showed up at my meetup yesterday. So,
Oh, yeah, how'd that go?
went really great. Give me a second. I'm going to read this list of this piece of paper. So thank you to Alvin. And that's it. So, appreciate that, guys. I had a one-person meetup. It probably is the record for the smallest meetup of all time. One person. One person. And he wasn't even like 6 foot tall, so really it's like less than a person. It's like 0.8 persons showed up at this event. So anyway, it was fun. Got a few games bowling in, and
What was your high score?
I don't know, like 170 something. I don't know. It wasn't very good. Only bowled 2
Way
games.
better than anything I'd bowl.
Yeah.
I think my highest is like a 150.
Highest ever?
Ever.
Oh, I think the guy I was bowling against said his highest was 140 something, yeah. So it was good times, but we'll probably redo it again because Andrew was kind of the reason behind that, and then he couldn't make it last second, so we'll do it again. We will do it again, but Alvin, thank you for showing up. It was fun. All right, so let's see what we want to cover today.
What a great time for Alvin. He got to have you all to himself.
Yes, I'm sure he was very And is this mean to say I told him if I would have known it was just you, I wouldn't have come? But that shit is a 2.5 hour drive. Like,
yeah, that was a drive. That wasn't like a bowling alley down the road.
No. Like, being honest with you, if I knew it was just you, I wouldn't have been here. So you got lucky. Somebody says Stephanie got a 139 yesterday with bowling, but she wasn't at the same bowling alley, I don't think. So no, it's a good time. I think that I don't know. Maybe Morgan Hill's a bad place to do it. So I don't know. It's kind of out of the way for the most part. So what I want to go through today, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I know it came out ages ago. That Veritas video.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, did we ever cover it on the show at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't know what was going on at the time that we just completely overlooked it. I remember not watching it, and then I kind of watched the first like 20 minutes and was like, oh, I hate this. Not watching this. And then the other day somebody linked me to a part of it, and I went and watched that part, and then like right after that came some bullshit, and right after that came some bullshit, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to cover this. So I'll bring it up here in a second, but you guys want to say what's been going on with you this week, or anything new that you've seen, any new videos, anything in the news besides the wonderful spacewalk? We could look at that. which definitely.
Oh, that was so bad. I could have done that in the garage.
It's embarrassing that people that believe in this stuff can't just call it out and say like, okay, it's getting a little bit weird now. It's 2024, and the spacewalk looks to be the exact same footage as the Ed White or whatever in 65.
Yeah,
nothing's changed.
So these billionaires and stuff, I mean, they've got to be in on it. And how do those suits? I mean, was it tethered?
I think it was connected by air. I mean, like an oxygen thing they say, but I don't think. I was looking yesterday for where's the test of that in a vacuum chamber. I can't find any. I think they would be able to show
there
that.
is none.
Yeah, you would think so. But
did I ever tell you my story of what the astronaut told me about that?
No, did you ask about that when you went there?
Yeah, bro. So I asked this female astronaut who I think she's accredited with designing the first female astronaut suits and all this stuff. She's been up there quite a bit, allegedly, right?
What's her name?
So I asked her.
Not Katie Coleman? Not that one.
Find it.
Oh, it's okay. It's probably not important.
But I asked her quite a few questions. I intentionally stay at the end of the line so that I can get more questions in.
Right.
And so I let people go in front of me and stuff like that. And I have this recorded. Just haven't released it yet. But anyway, so I say, so I've always wondered this. Do you guys test the spacesuits on Earth before you go up there, like in a vacuum? She said, yeah, of course. She looked at me like surprised by the question, and then she said, yeah, of course. I mean, you definitely don't want to go up there and it not work or something like that, right? I'm like, ha ha ha. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I haven't been able to find any videos of it or anything. The one video I saw, this guy's tongue started boiling. And
It's the last time they ever did it.
dude, this is the weird part. She then says, oh yeah, so it's actually really cool. So first she said it's well, it's actually kind of, I said, I bet that's pretty crazy, right? And then she said, it's actually pretty mundane. She might have used a synonym for that word. And she said they drop you down in the vacuum chamber. And she's like, what is cool is they have a they have a bowl of water in the vacuum so that you can see it. And I cut her off and said, boiling. Like, yeah, you can see the water boiling. I'm like, okay.
All right.
She said also they drop a bowling ball and a feather in there at the same time
While they're testing the suits.
bro. And she's like, and what's crazy is I said they fall at the same rate. I finished it both times. She's like, yeah, this lady's trying to tell me that they're testing spacesuits in a vacuum chamber and they're just throwing a bowl of water. Are they trying to convince the astronaut they're actually in space? You know what I'm saying? Like a bowl of water that's boiling and they're dropping bowling balls and feathers in the vacuum. Is that not super weird?
It's very
She
weird.
told me that. Yeah. I'm like, you're trying to convince me you were in a vacuum, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
It's very cool, though. It's very cool. That's what you're forgetting.
Yeah, it's mundane, but very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Did you ask her to record it next time she did that? Because we'd all love to see it.
No, I just was trying to act like a space fanboy and just get as many questions in as possible. Then towards the end, I started asking about people dropping stuff. And she said that no one drops stuff. I'm like, I've seen videos of people dropping stuff.
Seen it.
So. like next time I want to go in there with an iPad with all the videos of people dropping stuff. Like, that's fake news. So like, what's going on here? Can you? And I want to say, you got to be smooth. Like, can you help me understand what's going on here? I have this crazy stupid friend. He thinks you guys fake space. He won't stop showing me these freaking videos.
It's always the way.
Can you tell me what's going on here?
And she couldn't tell you.
No, I didn't do that. Yeah, I didn't ask. When I asked about the dropping stuff, she just denied it ever happened. She's like, oh, no, nothing can ever fall. Nothing can ever drop and fall. I'm like,
what about the gravity pockets? We're told it's gravity pockets up there.
What about the 20 videos I have of you dropping stuff?
So I'm going to put a Q&A open in the chat. But really, you could either ask a question if you have a question for us, or then also if you watch this video and there's any part of it that you want us to cover, if you put a timestamp in there. The video I'm talking about is, let me see if I pause it, is from the Veritas channel, 229,000 subs. It's got 382,000 views from 3 months ago. It's a 7-hour, 44-minute video. So if you put a timestamp in, so I'm putting, if you have any questions or particular timestamps for this video, please enter them and we will cover. So
it hurt watching this. Like half of it is
oh, it did hurt.
Craig or Tune.
Your prompt is too long. Great. Hold on a second. Any questions? There we go. That'll work.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm already out.
What? It's so bad. But a couple of the things here are just blatantly wrong. And again, we've already pointed these things out, and then he's going around calling us liars for things that he seems to not get right. But one thing I did want to show real quick, just because I think I want to show Austin. Austin, did you see me show the Ventu Sky app on my phone? On my show the other day? I know you're watching some of it. I don't know if you watched the whole thing.
No, because I popped in late and I went to the beginning, and then I'm like, I saw you asking questions. So then I skipped back to the end.
So I'm going to bring up a Ventu Sky here. I want to show you something, and you tell me what you think about this. Let me make sure this is on right. Yes. So Ventu Sky is this app. It's like, I think it's $10. I think I've showed it on this show a few times, on my show a few times. It just has a lot of useful information. There's also, you can get the high-level winds, so you can get the trade winds or the jet streams, and you can get temperatures and swell and all kinds of stuff. So let me move this over here. Okay, so you can see now, this is the app here. Dave, get on here. So we're just going to shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so this is the Ventu Sky app here. Hello? What happened? It stopped responding. Hold on one second. It's working on my phone, but not on the screen. Okay, we'll try some more time. Pull this over here. Why isn't it working? Anyway, Ventu Sky lets you, I'm going to show you these high-level winds. So first we'll start at 30,000 feet, and then we'll go to 40,000 feet, and then I want to go to 100,000 feet just to show you something that's going on that, to me, is days away from being really good evidence of the flat Earth. So let me show you. Connect to, okay, hold on. All right, it's just not coming up on my screen again. No device detected. Great. Let me try my iPad. See if that works.
Have you guys checked Bob Winds lately?
Yeah, I've been there the other day. What do you got there now? I'll bring it up and show people. So.
The magnetic
it
flux
changed from like, yeah.
It's totally different. It's all going from like the outer edge now directly straight into the center. It's no longer.
Well, that looks like a top-down view of a tourist field, though. Like, has anyone talked to the guy? Did he change the way that the data is projected?
So what are we looking at? Magnetic flux, and then go high or low?
Yeah, always go low to get
the
most, right? Yeah.
See, I don't think he changed anything, because even on because I went to the globe model one, and it looks different. It looks like a globe model should look now.
Like you went to the official one?
You mean Earth.Old School?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm saying that to me it seems odd that it's completely changed. Remember, Jeran, it was just a giant vortex.
Yeah, just not too long ago.
Yeah.
Let me see this one here.
Although if you think about looking down on top of a torus field, it would all, converge down in, which is interesting, but something that just doesn't add up. Do we think that the entire magnetic field drastically changed?
That's what I'm saying. Is this even real?
So this is Ventu Sky that we're looking at now. So I'm looking at high-level winds. You'll see here I'm at wind speed, and then I'm going with. So we'll start at 30,000 feet just to show that you can see the jet streams here. For instance, flying from Sydney to Santiago. Yep, there you go. So about there, just kind of small winds. Say you see 141 in there, 158, 153 going into South America. But we can change that to 40,000 feet, and now we get even higher level winds. You see up there, traveling about 150, 160, 170. Okay, but you can go to 100,000 feet here. Okay, I want to show you something. If we go to 100,000 feet, look at the winds whipping around the south. Look at the speeds: 306, 397, 319, 282. Okay, so this is going around the south. Now, that means that the north in a globe should be similar or identical. How about there's 0 winds going on at the north? 30 miles per hour.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Supposedly, oh, shoot, you're looking at the bad screen. Supposedly, in 6 days is the equinox. So there's absolutely no excuse in 6 days for this to be the case. What we should see, I would guess, is that this should flip. Somehow around the equinox, we should have equal winds, and then as we gear towards the southern summer, then we should have those high winds up here. If it's a globe, and that's what a globe would call for. What else would be causing this kind of
Why would the sun being further away cause more winds?
It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It'd be the other way around.
Well, if the sun is heading south right now, wouldn't that drive the winds away from there? I don't know. I don't even know what the reason that they would give for why these winds happen. So,
like in theory, by the way, they admit that they don't know the globe paradigm, but anything to do with any of this, just so you know. But one of the main things they throw in as a variable is that, of course, the sun heats the air, and we do know that like the heat from the sun, like temperature, is a major component of weather patterns. So, like, if you were to have the sun moving away from you or further away from you, really doesn't make sense for there to be stronger winds because it's going to be less like heated up.
Right. Because really, wind comes from the heat of the sun heating the air. The air rises because it's less dense, which then the cold air has to funnel through, right? Or the other air has to get to where that's evacuating, causing winds. Is that kind of the general cause of wind?
Yeah, pretty much. The air seeks equilibrium relative to other air. So when it's heated up and there's temperature differences, that's when you start getting things like tornadoes or whatever, because the air starts moving more violently, trying to get to the pressure environment that
So what
is
would
more
be
conducive to it equalizing.
What would be an explanation for why we would even see winds circling Antarctica like this at 100,000 feet?
I mean, from their paradigm, because
Yeah.
the Bible says that the winds come from there. So
And what about their paradigm?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, they do say.
It just makes no sense to me. If we're a globe, then you would expect fairly equal north-south stuff. Now, it could be at opposite times of year. I think also, some of the things that people say, I'm like, well, it is kind of different. If one's a continent and one's a pool of water, you would expect somewhat different things from both those. But I would not say, because there's a continent and this one has water, that the continent should have high-speed 350-mile-per-hour winds whipping around it. And then
I mean, you've made a good point already on its face, regardless if they try to do some mental gymnastics, pseudoscience, verification, fallacy, nonsense to make up excuses as to why this happens in their paradigm due to the, required symmetry, right? Like that if we're reaching the equinox, whatever it is right now, if it's due to anything to do with the sun, then it would have to flip.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's a good point regardless, but what do you think though about how these crazy Hebrew people said that the winds come from the ends of the earth, and now it's like acknowledged that the strongest winds in the world are in Antarctica? You think?
Yeah, I think that there's lots of things. The Bible just seemed to describe exactly what we see with like the AE map. Putting the ocean has bounds that it can't go past, and things that it says. I know you've done that biblical cosmology presentation where you go through all those.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the official answer. I can ask Rock though.
Yeah, ask. I just would be kind of interested in knowing what would be their explanation for this. And then I'm wondering,
what's the maximum speed you saw?
I thought I saw 350 somewhere. 379 I see right here. 371, 379 is right here. Do I see any higher than 379? I don't see 342, 338, 361, 371 here, 376.
What you said, 40,000 feet?
100,000. 376 I think is the highest I see. But that's still crazy speeds. And again, I mean, we've heard of tales of the jet streams going, and just to bring it up again, because I know Ruhif loves to hear me talk about it and tell me that I should watch his videos or something where he just takes the data the plane gives you and says, see, this is what the plane did. It's like, yeah, I know what the plane says it did. It's going by GPS distances. So it's not surprising. But here,
I wonder if if even the data they give us claims different elevations based on which way they're going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can find things like that. And remember, somebody had purchased, I think it was Upside Down guy, purchased for me a week-long membership on the highest level of Radar 24. And you were able to see every 1,000 feet what the speeds were. And they do go different ways. And right here on VentuSky, it's at least a little better than Bob's Winds because you can go 30,000, then 40,000, and then 100,000. Well, you can go 18,000 as well. But you really can't do the levels in between there. But
dude, the Grok excuse makes no sense so far. The polar vortex, a large area of low pressure and cold area surrounding Earth's poles, is more stable and intense over the South Pole due to the unique geography of Antarctica. It's funny because I know there's a group of anti-flat earthers listening to this that are immediately, as I read it, incorporating it into their worldview. Anyway, Antarctica is a continent surrounded by ocean, which allows for more consistent formation of a circumpolar wind pattern without much interruption from land masses. So you're saying that the interruption from land masses is what causes there to not be a stronger wind? So wouldn't the North Pole have extremely strong?
That makes no sense. Continents are what stops winds.
You say there, and it's saying the ocean around the continent, but wouldn't that mean that where there's no continent up in the North Pole, there's no land, that you'd have crazy winds?
Yeah, there's nothing blocking it. There's nothing stopping it. That makes no sense.
Yeah,
but
this is like, dude, the globe just makes no sense at all. Like this idea that we're gonna go down there and see what the globe predicts is just like a foreign concept to me. Like, what's going on at the North Pole, bro? Like, do you think they're just not giving us the data of what's really there? I bet there's crazy strong vortex winds at the North Pole.
Probably.
I
think that it looks like a drain is up there, to be honest.
And it says the continuity leads to stronger, more concentrated winds. Conversely, the Arctic is surrounded by land, which can disrupt the flow, leading to a less uniform and weaker vortex. This is a retarded answer.
It's like backwards.
Because what about everything inside the land masses at the North Pole? Elevational advantage. The South Pole is located on the Antarctic Plateau, which has an elevation of 9,300 feet above sea level. This high elevation enhances the winds, which are winds that carry high-density air from a higher elevation down a slope. Under the force of gravity, these winds can reach extreme speeds due to the topography of Antarctica.
Are you kidding me?
It says Coriolis effect. The Earth's rotation imparts a Coriolis effect, which influences wind direction and can increase wind speeds at higher latitudes. The South Pole, this effect can amplify wind speeds due to the convergence of the latitude lines. That would be the same in the North, Mr. Grok. That would be symmetrical if it's due to latitude and Coriolis. Winter isolation. During the Antarctic winter, the continent is isolated from warmer air masses by the circumpolar wind pattern. This isolation leads to extremely cold temperatures, which in turn contributes to stronger temperature gradients, a key driver for wind speed. That's interesting. So then that goes in with, well, if that's true, then here approaching the equinox, it should begin to change and then it should flip over. Right?
Yeah. Just
so that's all it's got here.
Well, I got this paper that I wanted to bring up real quick just to show that this is from 1962, I think. Let me see here. So it's meteorology, atmospheric jet streams in the aerospace age. I think that the date I see at the bottom here, I can read it. Well, it's copyright 1962. Okay. So right from the beginning, it talks about following the first discovery, the concept was proposed of a single dominant jet stream per hemisphere. But observations soon rudely upset this simple picture. It is now clear, and when they say it's now clear, I mean that means that they've looked into it at least, that jet streams will be encountered simultaneously at various latitudes and altitudes. At this time, we have definite knowledge of the following currents. So then it starts going into the currents that they know that they have. The mid-latitude jet stream says occasionally above 200 knots. Well, if you don't, 200 knots is like, I don't know if it's 250 miles per hour. 200 knots. 2 mph is so 230. So 230. So it's saying here at the mid latitudes, we know that the speeds are occasionally above 230. Mean height 35,000 feet. It says a westerly current with wave-like meander, often of strong amplitude. So now we know there's a westerly current. Then right below that says the subtropical jet stream of winter, latitude 25 to 35, core speeds occasionally approaching 300 knots. So core speed approaching 300 knots. Again, 300 knots is 345 miles per hour. Now, this guy's claiming we have definite knowledge. But now you will never hear any talk of any speed that high. Never. It's completely been erased from reality. It doesn't even happen anymore. And if you ask Ruhif, he'll say, no, there's never speeds over 150. Even though this guy's saying that it, basically is above And you notice here it says occasionally approaching 300 knots, mean height 40,000 feet, westerly with 3 large waves in northern hemisphere. The tropical easterly jet stream. So now you notice that it just switched. So everyone tells you there's only one direction of jet streams. They basically say it goes west to east, but now we're looking at westerly, but now a tropical easterly jet stream, which means now it's going the other way, mainly across Asia at latitudes 15 north, speed seldom over 100 knots, mean altitude 500 feet, little or no meander. So it goes on with all these different speeds. So it's funny to me that, again, you can just do the math on one of those flights. Oops, I wanted to bring up the other thing. Here we go. One of the flights that goes from Sydney to Santiago, that, at least in my mind, and I've had people say this isn't true, but I think that a plane goes about Mach 8.5 usually, and I think the speed of sound is 670 at 35,000 feet. So 670 times 0.85 to get our. So let's say it goes 570. Planes go 570. Okay. So if there's just let's say 125 mile per hour jet stream, so that's only 125. We just heard that they can get higher than that. So if we go 125. Then the plane should be going, let's just say it's 700. So if 700 miles per hour times go this way, 7,000 miles to go Sydney to Santiago, divided by 700, very easy, that there should be a 10-hour flight. There's no history of any 10-hour flight ever between Sydney and Santiago. So either that means that the jet streams are not what they tell us, or planes are going further and faster. Something isn't right. And they can't even admit this. Ruhif will just pull up the data from a plane and say, well, look, it says what the speed of the jet streams were and how fast the plane was going. I'm like, yeah, I know that. It thinks it went from Sydney to Santiago in a 7,000 mile trek. So the data it's going to return, it's not going to tell you that it was going 750 miles per hour the whole way. That wouldn't make any sense. So of course it has to adjust its speed based on what the GPS says. So anyway, to me, it shows that there's not, we've heard them say, oh, planes broke 800 mile per hour in the north, right? So if a plane broke 800 mile per hour, then wouldn't it be on occasion that a plane was able to get 700 miles per hour down there throughout the south? Well, obviously not, because there is no such thing as a 9 or 10 hour flight. Even though, what if this jet stream was 250 or something, right? 250 would be, which is insane. I know you're not going to get that sustained the whole time, so let's say 200 at least. But you could then say you're going 570 plus 200 mile per hour, and now you're going 770 times, what do they usually go? About 12.5 hours, I believe. So now the plane is going 96.25 rather than 7,000 miles. So that's what we're saying, is there seems to be some problem there with these flights in the south that never break any records. If you notice, all the planes in the north break the records. They're all going, oh, this plane went 860, this plane broke a record, this plane broke, but it never happens in the south. You would think that would happen. It's just got the most open airway, and then everything we've heard, I've showed Elon before, talk about how the higher up you get, the more efficient the plane becomes. And so you can actually go faster and for less fuel the higher up you are. So that's something they just don't tell us, because they don't want us to know that, oh, if planes want to save fuel and get somewhere faster, they'll just keep going higher. Now, granted, there's a certain ceiling where there's no more air left, but obviously that ceiling is not at 45,000 feet, because that's where private jets fly. So if private jets can fly there, I'm assuming larger jets can fly up that high. So, and then they've got, Elon talks about that momentum that a plane has, right? It's being pulled down, or it's got weight, so it's going down. And that is called like a potential energy that basically can propel the plane if it's kind of tilted up, which we know that planes do. Their nose is kind of tilted up a little bit. And then it's getting that wind under the wings. It's kind of like almost using its own weight to propel itself. So it's just, I don't think we know enough about planes to say anything about that. But, oops, sorry, I'm bringing it back up. And then just the last thing on Ventus Sky, because I think that's important. But you'll see here, right here is like 184 mile per hour here. And this is easily the channel that it travels, right? So here's Sydney. It comes out of New Zealand. It gets into this little channel here, and it's going to go here. So, and then look at this, 157, 153. This is only 30,000 feet. 193. We just figured out that there's never been a 150, let alone never. It's not like, and right here we're seeing winds of that high. So why wouldn't a plane be able to do, and again, maybe the plane goes Mach 0.9, 0.93. Now you're up into the 600 miles per hour. So I think planes are moving much faster than they tell us. I think that they're all programmed into the computers, and the computer basically decides what route the plane will take. And here's the crazy thing. On Ventus Sky, can you see the bottom of this? Maybe you can't. Yeah, I see at the bottom there. You can actually change the date. You can go to, what about on Tuesday at 8 p.m., and it shows you what the jet streams will be doing. So they've got this stuff down. They know and think about this is what supercomputers bring, right? This is what AI, technically AI, which is just a mass data accessing program. All it's doing is it's taking, you could plug in all this wind data for the last 100 years or whatever they've been keeping track, and then you tell it output what will happen on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and it can come up with that. Is it going to be exact? No, but can they plan flights around it? Yeah. So you got people like Bryant Myers saying that Himawari is proof of the globe Earth because you couldn't possibly come up with cloud data. Well, what do you mean? Here we go to cloud data on this app that costs $10. So we're going clouds, and we can do whatever cloud we want, high clouds, low clouds. Let's go high clouds. Let's zoom out. Well, if you notice something, I'm on Tuesday at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., Friday. So they have clouds. They already know it. Now, whether these are on or off, nobody's going to be able to tell me that, oh, well, somebody stood here at South America and said those clouds didn't match on that day. You can't tell that. Like the people who say, oh, Himawari's clouds match the real world. Like,
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard about that part.
So dumb.
It's like they say it with such confidence, like they're not actually retarded.
Yeah, like
no, because I went out myself in the backyard and they match. You're retarded.
It's like they have to be serious when they say this, and it's like they are. They're serious. Like in Himawari, look at these clouds. Himawari, what 8? Oops, it's just crazy to me that they would ever say that when we've got data on an app here that can predict clouds a week ahead of time. But I mean, yeah, for somebody to say that these clouds, oops, that's going the wrong way. This way. Oops, that's yesterday. Go this way. I mean, that's just crazy to me that anybody would say, oh, this matches the clouds. What? What do you mean? And again,
it's just such a lie.
Think about this too. They send up 1,000 balloons twice a day from 1,000 locations on Earth, and they gather cloud data. That's what they say they're doing. They put up weather balloons. It gathers the cloud data. It gathers the wind speeds at various heights. Then they put that information into the supercomputer, which outputs the clouds like this. And then it predicts the clouds. If it knows the clouds at a certain time of day, right, noon, then it knows what the clouds will do throughout that day based on the wind speeds, based on the cloud type. So then you have a projected day. And then, like I've said before, that would be very difficult because if something was taking a picture of the Earth, then it would just be able to give you the picture of the Earth. And you'd be able to say, well, look, it comes down in 1 second. It's impossible for it to fill in cloud data from these supercomputers. But it actually takes these guys up to 35 minutes or 45 minutes to get one picture out. Let's see what time it is now. It's 1:12, and the last time let me go here to get to the current day. What current time? So the last picture was taken at 12:50, and it's 1:12 now. So we are at 22 minutes right now. Now they'll tell you all the time, oh, it's every 10 minutes. But if it's every 10 minutes, what is going on now? Right? Like if it took a picture at 1, so 12 minutes ago, what is possibly happening in that time frame that we don't get to see the picture? Like it doesn't even make sense. What world are we living in? Like if it's actually just taking a photo and then sending the photo via light speed to some data center, then the data center's got to put it up on the internet. I get it, but should that take 15 minutes every time? It seems like it's having to gather some sort of data before it comes out with the next picture, which could be the predicted clouds for the time period. Who knows? So
yeah, who was it that found the metadata for the blue marble?
Paul on the Plane did a great video on it where he showed, and they've gotten rid of that plug. You can't go to that link anymore. But it was a link to where you went there and it would show you all the cloud data as an overlay. And then it would show you the blue marble base model Earth with just the continents and how they and then it was like a database where you go and you plug it in and you pull the cloud data over and then it looks like a globe. And they're like telling us that this is proof of something. And then again, it baffles me that if we go far enough here to where the Earth gets like black. Let me go like here. I mean, I'll never understand, like, if this is a photo, where's the stars? Like, look at that. So I understand when you say the focus or the exposure is at a place where we can't see stars because the Earth's too bright. But of course here why wouldn't we be able to see stars here? What is going on with the camera that it cannot pick up stars? Same thing is true with that stupid spacewalk. Somebody told me, and I don't know how this is even possible. They watched. Oh, it was Alvin yesterday. We were talking yesterday, and I said something about the spacewalk, and he's like, "Yeah, who did that? Who did that one that you were showing?" I'm like, "SpaceX." He's like, "No, who did the one with the guy coming out of the capsule at the top?" I'm like, "That's SpaceX." He's like, "No, I thought that was somebody who was just faking it." I'm like, "No, dude, that's SpaceX." He's like, "What?" He's like, "thought I was explaining to people, but then I started thinking maybe I didn't even explain to people well that was real, supposedly." Supposedly. Let me find. So if you look up. I think it's weird that SpaceX doesn't put their live streams on YouTube anymore either. What was it called again? Polaris Dawn? Yeah. Polaris Dawn. I think they came back. I haven't watched the landing or anything yet, but I wanted to see this thing here. Is there any good actual... Oh, there's them coming back. But if you watch this, I mean, it's just so bad that this is as far as we've gotten. Come on. Just don't want to watch the news. Are we going to show it? No. I was telling people yesterday on my show, don't you think that there should be a website? We should make it, us three. We're going to go in together, business partners, ready? The website should be just for videos that are the original video. Like, I don't want to hear the news talk about it. I don't want to hear commentary. I want a site where if you're looking for the original video, you go there. Because now on YouTube, you can't find a video anymore. It's like all you find is every other version of it. It's like, you know,
this person covering it and that person
right. I can never find the actual
reacting
video
to it. Yeah.
I'm like, just get that out of here. That's YouTube. That makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to when. Oops, what is that picture? I just saw the globe somewhere. That was weird. Oh, there. They showed a couple of these pictures of the globe that look terrible. They look like a big egg. Where is it? It's not really it. There. Look at that. Playing the piano or playing the violin. So when it gets here to where he finally gets out for the first time, it's oops. Oh, this is them coming back. Oh, let's watch this just because I haven't seen this yet. Live supposed to return. Oh, I thought this was the actual spacewalk. So this is, I guess, them returning. When was this? Today? 13 hours ago. So I don't know. What are they using? Some sort of
yeah, I missed
here?
that.
Yeah, I didn't know that they are back or whatever. And this is out in the ocean here. They're coming to pick them up. I don't know about that. I'm kind of afraid of the ocean, to be honest with you.
I am terrified of it.
Not a big fan.
I feel bad.
That's like a bad dream to me, like waking up in the middle of that.
I don't even want to see it. I don't know how you live so close as you do.
Well, seeing it's okay. But yeah, my worst nightmare would be being dropped out in the middle of the ocean. I would try and swallow water as fast as possible. Just end it.
Get this over with.
What is that view? Oh, that's like the infrared camera? Weird. Very, very weird. Let me find the actual... And again, they just drop these out of a plane. And we've seen video footage of them. It's easy to do. Nobody would know. It's just simple. I mean, people... Of course, the camera always picks it up as like, oh, there it is. It's coming out of the clouds. Where's the Polaris Dawn crew perform first all civilian spacewalk? Just pretty gross. I mean, like, this is just bad. God, I cannot find the original video. And you'll notice that all you're seeing is like these quick... Oh, there's a kind of... the egg one is worse than that even. But they make all these clips like quick. They show just this one picture. They never actually... You can never find the video. Can't remember where I saw it. Let me find it over here. Just real quick. I'll look at my history because I did finally find it yesterday. Did you watch that at all, Zach or Austin? Did you see the first ever spacewalk? Which doesn't even make sense to me. This guy supposedly paid like $50-something million for that. I don't know. Doesn't seem like something that would take place. And then it's just funny because it's like SpaceX needs to test its spacewalk technology, so they go and get civilians. Like, when has that ever been done in the history of the world? When has it been like, oh, we need to go test this jet aircraft, so rather than get a pilot who's definitely fluent in these things, let's send some civilian that's never flown a plane. Let's put him up.
I don't understand the whole tether thing. Like, why would... It's 2024, right?
And supposedly they opened up the whole capsule to space.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you
before.
had to go outside for an amount of time, and that hole is small. It's so small that the Starliner suit, that Starliner can't get out of it. It's not like it has room. Like, if they put a backpack on that thing, they're going to have trouble getting out of the hole.
Yeah.
So what is the point of having a tethered spacesuit in 2024? I just don't get it.
I don't get how that spacesuit would work anyway. It doesn't look like it would. I mean, anything that you understand about how vacuums work, how this has got to prevent, anything from leaving it. So it's got to be completely sealed, and it would be like a Michelin suit. I don't really get how it would be so pliable. And then to picture those 4 people putting on those suits inside that little craft. Like, I've always had questions about that. Like, on the ISS, you need like 2 people to help each one person put on their entire gear. But then we're just told that Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong put on their gear, that just them two, and went and walked on the moon. But then you start thinking about it, you're like, wait a second, so one person in gear put another person in gear in? Because there's like things that need to be like sealed and snapped and all that, you know, that would be tough to do with gloves on. So it just seems weird to me that I've never seen any video of that or evidence of that, of them getting dressed or doing any of that stuff, putting on their diaper. I'm sorry that I want to see that, but I want proof of diaper application. Otherwise, it just seems like they're just making up a whole new story. Okay, I've got this on my history here. Find this for you. I did find it's like a 2-hour video. Did we watch it yesterday? Here we go. Which one is it? It is. Come on. Well, that's the spacewalks, and then it would be right before that. Spaceflight update, new era in space. On. Here we go. Nope, that's what people think. Here we go. This one, full EVA. So this is like a 2-hour video of them actually doing, supposedly, this spacewalk. Let me put it on YouTube for you. Watch that. And let's go to right where he takes it off. About here. I mean, again, this looks so bad to me. So this is him first going out. And then the camera like flips to, I guess, a camera from behind him. And you see this view here. Oh, you can't see that. Sorry, hold on. Fix this. Wonder when that went out of whack. There we go. And then right when he comes out, of course, the camera goes down. It comes back, and this is what you see. And they're supposed to be, what, some 400, I think, miles. And then, was it right before this when they saw, we did see a video of like that capsule going by with like land underneath it with lights on the land. But I don't know if it was part of this broadcast or something else. I saw it on my show. There we go. So, I mean, if you can see, oh, you can't even see that. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Yeah, as I move this mouse here, you can see the Earth start to move right there like that. I mean, it just doesn't seem at all, to me, to 2024. That we would expect to see in 2024. Let's listen a little bit of this.
In SpaceX EV1, I would say the hands-free demonstration is very comparable to the trainer in terms of the foot restraints.
SpaceX copies. And EV1, when you have time, if you'd like to return to the reach demonstration, we'll take a look at that with the live video.
So test matrix 3 is complete. The HUD readout is 5.3 psi, 47% RH, 33.8 Celsius, and stepping back into max reach.
Copy test matrix 3.
You can see top of the mobility aid. And let's get a quick crew ops check. EV1 said, look at this bed. I'm good. Fucking bed. Copy that. Okay, max reach, whether it's left or right hand, seems to be about the same. Top of the mobility aid, and then the mid-row.
Copy, we see it.
Checking up from the bottom.
That was interesting. So the image from right there. What's all that green?
And SpaceX EV1, we're taking a quick look here at the hatch shields. From what I can see so far, they look pretty good.
Copy on the hatch seals and stand by for transition to 3-off reset.
Copy that, SpaceX. Good.
I don't even see how you could open a spacecraft like that too.
And EV1 is clear.
Okay.
All right, so Jared back inside We heard of.
We have both committed to memory in order to execute these. We saw it being done pretty efficiently. I can't believe how quickly that time went by. Mike, we were talking about how your spacewalks were hours, and these guys only have 10 to 15 minutes, and it just like that.
Yeah, it can go pretty quick, and but fortunately.
Field looks good. I see a little bit of a bulge between 14 and 13.
So you're hearing Sarah call out some more of the seal check there as she's exiting out.
Yeah, put a backpack on them.
Yeah.
And get out of that.
I mean, I said it before. A lot of us wear characters. We want to do this.
All right, stepping into test matrix 1 for single-handed mobility.
And it just so happens that when they're outside, like there's no Earth now. Where did it go?
Really cool to see one of our own out there. That's awesome.
I just can't believe how bad things look, and for people to keep buying it. Like, at what point, what could they literally do that would make anybody who believes this stuff just go, that's weird? I'm not sure they could even do anything. They could use claymation figures, and then we'd be like, why are they doing that? And it's like, well, they have better things to do than use real people in the video footage.
From bar 4 to bar 2. From top down. And similar reach from bar 2 up to bar 4.
SpaceX copies reach.
And EVA test matrix 1 complete. Sea pressure 5.25, 33.8 Celsius, 37% humidity.
SpaceX copies HUD readout and test matrix 1 complete.
Copy, 7 test matrix 2.
By the way, something else I realized too, that, okay, so remember SpaceX changed its live stream. I've shown proof of that, and when they were on YouTube. So now they don't put their live streams anymore on YouTube. They now put their live streams on X. So essentially, Elon could, we don't know any of this is live. He's in control of his own live stream, so on his own platform. So we have no idea. It was weird enough when he was able to change his live stream on a on a YouTube page, and now for him not to do it on YouTube makes me wonder why wouldn't he do that if he unless he's changing live stream somehow. Because
so bad.
Their stuff is always timed perfectly with like the audience clapping at the right time, and that's what they didn't get right those times that they changed it. And the live streams they changed is they moved scenes to make it more like a movie because the output of the live stream was terrible. So then they went back in and edited things on top and moved pieces to where the crowd's cheering so that it looked like this great production. But again, we know that at this point, any space act that is shown as streamed live, you can't believe it anymore, right? So streamed live 3 days ago, well, sure, but I've got, if you go to SpaceX and you go to their Falcon Heavy test, it's also going to say, which this is YouTube's problem. They should have never ever allowed this, because what they did was they completely compromised the live streaming system. I'll never believe a video is live streamed anymore. You can never tell me like, well, Jeran, the evidence of this is that it's live streamed, because I would say, yeah, and look at this. This one here says streamed 6 years ago. It doesn't say anywhere in any of the description that this has been changed, that this has been edited. It is listed as a live stream, shown as a live stream with 33 million views. And it's not the live stream. They've replaced parts of this video. For example, remember, if this is a live stream, what are the chances that they would have this part so perfectly timed? Whereas, it goes up here when it does the opening of the capsule and the space mobile, right? This is all done after. This is After Effects. This is not done in real time because we have the original live stream that doesn't show.
On power, also look good.
Watch the timing with the music and the crowd. Now, of course, if you watched the real live stream, you'd notice that they accidentally put this scene at the very end, and when the thing went space, that part of the song, and the crowd cheering, there was nothing shown on the screen but a map. There was just nothing shown. So they had to go back and fix it or change it, and that's the way they did it. And then when they had this landing video here, see if I can find the actual spot. Where's a good spot to show you? You can find where...
I tell people about this, they accuse me of lying and
of course
ask for proof, and then...
Well, my video is pretty good proof, but I mean, so is this one. Look at this. You can actually see the video that they placed on top. You can see it. So they didn't even... It just covered it. They just covered the original video with this one. So you can see it's on top. And then also, because both these feeds were the same, they wanted to change them, so they just did it after the fact. Which... Right here, right? See, these things are different, but originally in the original, they're the same video on both sides. And I thought there was a place where the overlay went over the graphic. I'm trying to find that, where it was kind of easy to see exactly. And then the original was 45 minutes, not 35 minutes. And again, there is a rule with YouTube that you can edit out, chop off the beginning or ending of your stream, but also the rule says it's only allowed for videos that have under 100,000 views. This video had multiple millions within hours, so it clearly wasn't in that group that would be allowed to do that. So let me see if I can find that one spot where it goes over, because that's kind of, well, the best evidence is we have the original, so that's the best evidence. And then you got people like Smarter Every Day. You can see here this has been overlaid. Let me turn this down. You got people like Smarter Every Day who does a video saying, look at the extreme engineering here, that these two cameras are identical. And they're not. It's just that's how good the engineering is. Well, in his video that he's talking about it, you can see that this video is the same as this one. In this video, they've replaced it. So his video actually is evidence of, or proof, that he's showing the original live stream, showing this video on the outside, and this video saying, look at how identical they are, that they are, it's just good engineering. But it's not. They are identical. See how this one back behind it is the same as this one? So it's just completely... So anyway, what I was trying to get to is that when I see now that SpaceX doesn't do its live streams on YouTube anymore, and you can see that by going to their channel. Let's go here real quick, open leak. So if we go to SpaceX's channel and go to live streams, their last live stream was over a year ago, streamed a year ago. So they don't even stream on YouTube anymore. And then why would he only stream on Twitter, which probably, well, I guess it's his platform, but it also gives him a little bit more control over the live stream. And then if he wants to change any part of it, who's going to stop him? Right? We could just change the graphics, change whatever layer video over on top of other video. I don't know where that part is where it goes over the screen. I'd have to go back to my video. But it's one of the better pieces of evidence that you can see it actually cover this thing up here, whatever that's called, the HUD or whatever. The graphic itself covers that. And you're like, okay, well, that's... It's because they did it after, and after you can't go back in and layer something underneath. But I don't see where that happened. So anyway, that's one thing that I've always questioned as to what these guys are up to. All right. So yeah, SpaceX changing their live stream is a big deal. And for me, it really ended my era of watching so carefully all these spacewalks, because I used to kind of enjoy watching a spacewalk and kind of being really, eagle-eyed on it. But then I realized, well, wait a second. If space agencies are allowed to change their live streams, then we'll never see a mistake in a live stream, because they'll just edit it out.
Go back and edit it.
Yeah, and they just change history. So, and of course, when I asked YouTube, and I have email evidence of this, I asked YouTube over and over again, can explain to me how SpaceX did this, and I laid it out for them, and they kept coming back and saying, sir, what you're saying is not possible. So it didn't happen. And I'm like, no, I'm showing, here's the evidence that it did happen. So stop saying it's not possible. Here's the evidence that it did happen. Now I want to know how they did that. And they're like, no, what you're saying, you cannot change a live stream after it's been posted. I'm like, I know that. I understand I can't change a live stream after I posted it. You're not listening to me.
How did they do this?
Right, I'm showing you evidence that they did. So answer that. And after like 2 weeks, they eventually just came back and said, there's nothing we could do to help you. Sorry, there's nothing you can do. So it's like, okay. And yeah, this scene here kind of at the end, this is where originally just got accidentally placed. Did they actually leave that part in there?
Well, if you could hear all that cheering.
By the way, at the bowling alley yesterday, this guy was the guy that sold me the lanes and gave me the shoes.
It's an outstanding test flight of the Falcon Heavy.
And just so people know, all the audience that's there is employees that are paid extra to be there. So it's like, here, you want to come extra on Saturday, come to work, and we'll give you an extra day's pay, and you just stand there and cheer like an idiot. So people think that, like, oh, there's some audience there that wants to see this. No, it's just employees who want extra money. So anyway, that's enough of that. We had Bob's Winds. All right, so we can watch a little bit of this. I'll just start out with, unless you guys have anything to say real quick, or we will. Oh, wait, let me look at the questions that have been asked. Rethink Inc. says, what are the chances you can leave McToon in Antarctica? We'll try. We'll try.
See what we can do.
Dr. Bass Ackwards says, great point. Thank you. I don't know what point was great, but good. Jeran, can you do some tests before the trip with your infrared P900 on overcast sunsets to make sure you can still see the sun clearly through the clouds? Yes, I'll show some tests to show the clouds that we can't see through, and then the ones that you can, because obviously there's some you cannot if it's too thick. So if there's any other questions there, go ahead and ask them. But the first thing I saw was this nonsensical thing, and let me bring up actually I don't know what page it's on. We'll just watch this. So this is the video Veritas. We're not going in order. We just have some. I have a couple points I wanted to bring up. These guys have a couple points, and then if you've got any time slot that you've watched and you want us to address, you can put it in the chat there under the questions, and we will cover it. But let's do this part.
A great summary can be found at mctune.net/left to right curve, but I'll do my best to briefly.
Let's bring that up. That's what I was looking for. So you said mctune.net / left to right curve. And I think I didn't ask for. I think I asked. Oh boy, did he say that? Left to right curve. I didn't hear what he said. Oops. Maybe I misheard. Let me hear it again. God, I always do that. I always lose my. Where were we? Here we go. Nope. Come on, where did I do with that video? SpaceX, Falcon 9, there we go, this one. Okay.
Explain here for context. This test took place on the Spanish island of Understood. A great summary can be found at mctune.net / left to right curve, but I'll do my best to briefly explain here for context.
Did he say that? Left to right curve? Is that what I put?
Not the left to right curve.
Yeah, this guy brings this up, and like we're the idiots. Left to right curve. That's what I put in. It didn't come up. So no. Let's put in left to right, because this image is the most funniest thing you've ever seen, and this guy doesn't even acknowledge it and wants to call us liars. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Watch. Let me show if we can find it. There we go. Left to right curve. This one. I want to find those images. Right. Okay. So this image, first of all, is. Let me bring up a better view for you. Browser. There we go. Okay. So I thank you for the. We got somebody, Kofi, I think. I'll be right with you to check that out. So this picture is the first one, and right away, the very first thing you should notice is that this is being held up by rocks. Okay, these are rocks placed underneath this apparatus. Okay, so that's number one. It's kind of funny. Then you've got a rock under here. This is a rock. Okay, this is a rock. Now, can somebody tell me if there might be a problem with this experiment or test? Can't you just see with your eyes that this is not level? Oops, you can't see that. It's a little high. Maybe here. Nope, that's too high. Maybe there. Nope. There. Okay, well, you can see, look at it angled up, right? I mean, clearly from here to the top, the screen's not showing very well. There we go. Clearly from here to the top is farther than from here. I mean, how can you not see that? Put a freaking rock under there. Now this thing is leaning, and then the guy's like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's leaning because all we're checking is whether or not the water line in between it stays straight. Okay, so let's watch here what he's got to say.
Context. This test took place on the Spanish island of Ibiza at an elevation of 603 feet. What we see here is a table supporting two interesting looking objects, each being a pair of some kind of metal rod of some sort bound together. These basically are going to be acting as straight edges that we can use for a reference. Now the benefit of this rather unique setup is that there's a gap between the straight edges that allows us to align the horizon between them, acting.
Okay, let's stop here again. Look at the distance between the water line and the second red bar here. So very, very, you could barely see any, but then over here you see a bunch. So already you know that whatever you scrunch and show is not correct because you didn't level this, so you're not basing it off of level. We have to assume that your little masking tape here is somehow some sort of a device that we should be measuring off of, and then we're talking about the horizon, which is an apparent position. So I mean, talk about dishonesty. I mean, what could you determine from something that is a unknown or an apparent position. I always bring up because if you go to
and you can take a picture of anything with a camera and scrunch it together, and because no matter what lens you use, it does impose some curvature. You can make drastic curvature from the straightest thing in the world.
So what if we went out here to this boat and we measured to the horizon? Do you think that it would show the horizon to have been dropped like lower than it's supposed to be? And they'd be, oh, it's a curved Earth because look at the horizon drop low. Well, no, we know that these boats aren't floating. We know just the horizon is appearing lower than it should. How about this one? I mean, you can't measure to this horizon because the horizon is an apparent position where the sky meets the water. It's not the position. We actually realized that the water would meet the sky way back behind this boat, right? And in fact, you can see it here. So this is all water, and this is the horizon. But these guys will go out and measure to this and try and tell us things about it. It's like, what are you doing? You can't measure to the horizon. How about this one? I mean, these are boats that are clearly not floating, and nobody even claims that. They actually try and claim. They're like, oh, it's refraction lifting the boats up. Like we wouldn't realize, wouldn't the water get lifted up? if whatever the boat is sitting on, everything's getting lifted up because of light, well, you wouldn't lose the water and just have a boat sitting there. But they just lie about these. You have people calling them Fata Morganas. This is not a Fata Morgana, right? This is just when the atmosphere or when the horizon becomes closer or lower, then you get this effect, which is, or I've also heard people say it because of the stillness of the water. They're like, this would be choppy water, and then out here it's super still, so it almost becomes like a mirror, and you're just reflecting the sky. And then, like here, I remember somebody showed that you can actually see where the eye line was. This picture? Oops, I didn't want to go there. Maybe it was somewhere down here that you could see that the eye line is the horizon's way back here, but they just show it as being closer. Anyway, let's continue to listen to that. And then, like Austin said, and this is the problem, he's about to bring up a paint program, and he literally draws lines on the paint program like I've done a million times to show you. But what I show you is then if you take a picture of the straight lines and then condense them, that weird things happen. He's about to show you that he drew lines on a paint program, and then he squishes the paint program. It's like, no, that's not what's going on. We're actually squishing photographs. So if you're going to show me drawing straight lines on a computer, then the next step needs to be to take a photograph of the straight lines you drew, not to just make claims about your paint program drawings, which is not at all what we're talking about. Let's keep going.
As a handy visual guide that will help make any curvature on the horizon more apparent if it exists. As we discussed earlier, from this perspective on Earth, if it's round and if it's the size that we believe it to be, we'd simply be unable to see the extremely slight curvature on the horizon without examining photos more thoroughly. Now, one of the more common criticisms I hear from flat earthers about this is that there's no proof that the straight edges are level. Like, they didn't put some kind of spirit level on the table showing that it was perfectly level with the horizon. But don't let this distract you. This criticism is missing the point entirely. It's not about being perfectly level. Levelness has nothing to do with this demonstration. All we're looking at is straightness versus curvature. The table could very well be off from perfectly level, but that wouldn't change the results of this test. Something that's going to become a little...
Which is why they put rocks underneath the legs, because being level doesn't matter, so they put rocks under some of the legs, I guess, so that it makes no sense. Obviously, the guy was trying to level the table, or else why would you put rocks under?
More apparent in a moment. The most compelling part of this particular demonstration comes when we do something called a horizontal compression on the image. If you have a bunch of lines in an image, let's say you draw some perfectly straight horizontal lines, a few perfectly straight diagonal lines at varying angles, and then you draw two lines with very slight curves to them. Curves that are so small that when you zoom out, you can't really even notice.
Okay, so right now I'm just going to pause this and I'm going to take a photo of this with my camera, just to show you the difference between what he's about to do and reality, which is what he should be doing. I'm taking a picture of the straight lines he just drew to show you that if a straight line exists in reality, like a horizon or like something else, that if we take a picture of it with our camera and then do the compression, that we get curves. But remember, he said these are straight lines. This top line is straight, right? This bottom line is straight, and then he took one of these and moved it up a little bit. But let me just take a picture of that off my screen. Okay, I did that. Now let's continue.
You then take the resulting image and shrink only its width, maintaining the same exact height. You've got this squished final product. But notice, all of the lines that were perfectly straight before the compression remain perfectly straight after the compression, regardless of whether or not they were perfectly level or drastically diagonal. But the two lines that had even the slightest amount of curvature have that curvature exaggerated to the point where it becomes easy for us to see. This is the benefit of horizontal compression. Straight lines stay straight, curved lines become more obviously curved. This is precisely the reason why we included this.
Now, again, he drew straight lines on a computer program, right? So, I mean, it's equivalent of doing this. It's so stupid. It's painful. So if you take any kind of let me just take this graphic here. So let's take this, erase this. Okay, so if we just got any kind of graphic, what he's saying is that, oh, if I draw straight lines on here, let's go with a box actually, so I can draw a couple straight lines, rectangle. Okay, so if I draw these, and we're just going to go with just the outside and black. Okay, so he's saying if he drew these lines, which no shit, and then you condense these lines, like they'll stay perfectly straight. Well, yeah, because it's just the image. How would it curve that only is on this pixel? So if I go here and then go to, we already got that set, and that one's good. So now if I pull this over, of course they say straight. Like this guy's trying to make this sound like this is like something cool. It's like you only straightened the drawing you just did.
The pixels aren't going to move.
Right.
And be curved.
So what we're talking about is when you take a photograph, not when you squish the image you just made. Like, how does that even have anything to do with anything?
Straight edges in this little experiment. Again, it had nothing to do with level. What we wanted to do was have another set of horizontal lines that we could use as reference lines, acting as a kind of control variable. So if something like the lens of the camera was introducing any distortion, like maybe it had a fisheye lens, we would see that all of the straight edges also have a noticeable curve. So what do we see when we horizontally compress the image from Ibiza? Well, first things first, clearly not every one of the 16 or so horizontal edges of the straight edges are perfectly flat. But that's okay, because there's plenty of lines that are, for all intents and purposes, perfectly straight.
Look at the table. You mentioned the table. Just skip past that. That's not important. I mean, yeah, it's a flat table that I'm showing is curved, but all straight lines stay straight.
Here. The straight edge has served its purpose. It included perfectly straight lines.
Yeah, the whole thing is garbage. The whole thing is garbage. And this guy wants to act cocky, and he acts like, oh, flat earthers are intellectually dishonest, and they never actually look at the real results that come from tests. And look what you're doing. It's just disgusting to me. It's like, don't go around calling other people names when you are doing the exact same thing.
Lines here that we could use as a reference to know that there wasn't any curvature being added to the image by the lens. And then, of course, we have the horizon, which I don't know about you, but it looks pretty curved to me.
Wow. So, okay, so it looks curved, but then this red line, why doesn't the horizon look curved here? Well, we know that already, because if we went back to that, let me go back, Yeah, go back even more. Maybe there.
So what do we see?
So we can see that, like, remember that you can see that the difference between this and this are the same, and this one here is the one that was moved. Where, did you not zoom in? Let me go back to where that. Oh wait, we were looking at it over here. So, right. So he's showing this. Wait, what happened to the? Oh, this is not the same image because it doesn't have the horizon between it. But you could see in that other image that the horizon clearly had a difference between the amount shown here and here, and then this one was identical, and then that's exactly as it comes out here. He's basically showing that. You can see that this is like a perfect amount of air right above that strip of water. And then this one you can actually see if you get closer. I thought we had a closer view. We'll keep
when we horizontally compress the image from Ibiza. Well, first things first, clearly not every one of the 16 or so.
So it actually shows, I just went too far.
Horizontal edges of the straight edges are perfectly flat. But that's okay, because there's plenty of lines that are, for all intents and purposes, perfectly straight here.
There's plenty of lines that are perfectly straight here. What? Okay, so what? What does that mean?
What about the main one at the bottom that you lined everything up
to? What does that mean? I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean. All right.
The straight edge has served its purpose. It included perfectly straight lines here that we could use as a reference to know that there wasn't any curvature being added to the image by the lens.
Oh boy.
And then, of course, we have the horizon, which I don't know about you, but it looks pretty curved.
The phrase, there was no curvature added by lens. Like, if you just ever say that phrase,
right,
you're a retard.
And so remember, oh, good.
I'm just saying, like, that's as simple as it. Like, all other things aside.
Yeah, every lens has inherent curvature in it. It's required.
Even rectilinear lenses. Yep. It's like, come on, dude.
So I just this is the image I just told you I took of my computer screen. So now I'm going to grab it and do compression, as he said, and it will stay straight. Whoa, what happened? I thought straight lines stay straight, as he just showed us, but his straight line stayed straight because he was straightening the drawn lines on the computer image. This is actually a photograph that I took of the straight lines that he just drew. You just saw him draw them, and they didn't stay straight. They're all curved. So every single line that he drew straight is now curved because of me. So, I mean, that's all you need to do to realize, and this is what I was telling MC Toon. I said, MC Toon, if we take a straight line and by compressing it, show curvature. Then in that example, it disputes every single point of compression ever presented. Because if I can take a known straight line and then condense it with a left to right compression and it shows curve, then you can never show me any flat line and say, oh, it's actually curved because look, we compress it. It's like, well, I compressed a straight line and it was curved. So your entire argument's out the window. Yet they don't get it. They'll keep arguing this over and over again. I think I told Toon when he was on my show over a year ago that he needs to take this page down because the page is garbage. I forgot what his reason for not taking it down was, but I think he admitted, I said, if we can show, we just showed it. Believe it or not, we just showed you that he said he drew this top line. Oops. He drew that top line straight when he was doing his drawing. This line here is completely straight in his drawing, but in my photograph, it becomes curved. So that alone, okay, then we can never look at a image compressed and say it proves anything because we just proved that straight lines are curved. So if straight lines are curved, then that's a, what do they call it? What is the fallacy of non-existence or something? Non-contradiction, right? So it's a contradiction in terms to say that straight lines are curved, but we can do that. That's how we know compression isn't anything. Because if I can know a known straight line and then show you that compressing it makes it curved, then now we just refuted ourselves. It's a paradox. How could straight lines be curved? We know that that's not possible.
Here's the real crazy part. Why do all of the globe earthers like keep saying that point anyway? Like,
I don't know.
All of them.
Yeah, they all repeat the same thing, and it's because Red's Rhetoric did a video a while back, and when we came out against it, I mean, it was clearly debunked, just destroyed, and they just keep repeating the same talking point. It's like,
I'm trying to understand. None of you, like, you're all just liars. Like, none of you are like, okay, that's not a good proof.
Right.
You all just keep saying it. You have it shown to you that it's not true. You see it. You know it's a lie. You pretend you didn't see it. Just keep saying it anyway.
Yeah, that's
like, what?
That's why there's like no friendships between flat earthers and globe earthers. Like, if we can't reach certain conclusions as a collective, like, all it should take is somebody showing you, here's a straight line in reality, right? There's a straight line. We can show it straight. It's whatever. It's a drawn line on a computer, which is, okay, that's straight. Then when you take a photo of it, now we condense and it shows curve. Once we show that to you, any intellectually honest person should go, oh, okay, so we won't use that as evidence anymore. Let's move on to another subject. Let's talk about this, because now we can leave that behind. There is no more image compression proves anything, because we've shown you can compress a straight line, a known straight horizontal line, and show it's curved. So that right there is, you just contradicted the term. How could straight things be curved? They can't. So therefore, we can't use that as evidence, but they keep using it. Disgusting. And then, the nerve to call us crazy because this guy thinks this is evidence of something. The table's curved.
To me. Now, surprisingly, this flat earther says what I've never seen any other flat earther actually see.
Because I think this photograph, actually, there's as far as I'm graph.
So the underlying principles, his response.
But the point.
Here's another one that we've shown before. Like, look at the lineup of this. You have to, like, to show this and say that this is showing the horizons curve. Like, what? How would you show that? How do you know this is level? If it's just angled a little bit to the right, so the right side's lower, like we see it here, there's more ocean here than there is over here, then you've got a problem. You can't make any determination from this image. And this guy's going to pretend like you can.
Is that you did not manipulate your independent variable, and you also did not take it with multiple.
Oh, and by the way, Zack's right. Like, I don't even know most of the people debating on this whole 8-hour documentary. Like, they went and found the worst ones they could find just to make a point.
I've been a flat earther for a week. I'll debate you.
Right, of course. I mean, so this guy's like talking about, and he's kind of rambling, and yeah, it does sound bad, but that's not indicative of the whole
cameras. That's my point. I'm not saying that your picture is fake. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get you to understand that that's not conclusive evidence.
So now the primary criticism sounds like it's that in both cases there's only one image from one camera. Apparently, two different people using two different cameras at two different locations independently understand that you're not.
It's so bad.
It's like imagine if I made a video, act like it was some home run, and I'm just going to show how stupid globe earthers are and globe earth is, and then I picked out the worst globe earth arguments I've ever heard. I pretended that was the best that the globe could come up with, and then I just talked about how stupid it was.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that was so cool. I argue for the globe better than they can, then show why it's wrong. Right? That's That's what you can actually do unless you're a liar.
Okay, let's go to 155. That's enough of that one. So at 155, he's talking about, he's actually covering us a little bit, talking about downward refraction. And I was going to bring up the point about the straw, and right as I was like writing a note to do so, then Austin, he shows Austin's giving the answer. And it's like, what? So he even has the answer.
Downward trajectory over the obstruction. Now, in order for the light to enter your eyes, you'd have to look up. And naturally, by looking up and allowing the refracted light to hit your eyes, you'd be seeing the object in precisely the direction that the light was coming from.
So remember now that what you're saying is that we know there's a higher atmosphere, more dense atmosphere at the ground level, and they're saying that because the item's being bent towards the more dense medium, that you would then see the item up higher than its location. That's what he's claiming here. So then he shows us having a debate against these guys. We'll show you.
Birthday parties as a kid. But anyway, therein lies the problem. Flat earthers, as usual, get it entirely backwards. It's actually as if they're so simple-minded that they can't get past the downward part of the phrase downward refraction and conflate what direction the light bends with where the resulting image would appear to be to the observer relative to its actual physical spatial location. It would be one thing if they got a little bit confused about it and said, whoops, corrected themselves and moved on. Let's take a look at one of the most frequently brought
Can I just bring back to this point now?
up scientific concepts within many different contexts of the flat earth discussion, something called refraction, which is related to the behavior of light. Now, there are lots of different ways that refraction can manifest, but one of the easiest to demonstrate is just by looking at any glass of water that has a straw in it.
So like right away, the straw is entering a more dense medium, and it's refracting down, but we see it lower. We don't see this item above where it's supposed to be. If we did, it would be over here. So it's like you're actually seeing the refraction appear lower, and then they go into this whole diatribe about how, no, that is seeing it higher. I don't even get it. Let's listen to this part here.
An object with the light bending downward from where it is actually appears to make the object higher because the light is entering your eye on a downward angle.
You know
light,
no, he keeps going.
That's literally how refraction works. You can't really, light coming in, your eye sees it going that way, up. So it raises the object up. Where downward refraction raises an object up. That is just how it works.
Okay, so you got a minute to retort. Oops.
Do you know how eyesight works? And it reflects over to you, which is what you see.
Right.
On its way over.
Okay.
Well, it's patently false. You can demonstrate without little cartoons.
This is just optics. This is just standard optics.
Demonstrate it then.
My guy, you can put a pencil in water and watch it be the denser medium below the pencil. The pencil will displace down towards the denser medium. Your cartoons don't change physical demonstrations.
Okay, Globe side. Globe, you got a question?
Can you
of a
show
minute.
us a physical demonstration?
Well then, I thought you'd never ask. There's a couple of great YouTube videos done by a guy named Dang Joss, where he uses liquid nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen. I mean, these guys will just go to any
stretch.
stretch.
Bro.
Yeah, it's terrible. And we don't
It's
have
awful, bro.
He's talking about liquid nitrogen. Like, do you know the difference in temperature between, like, you can't bring into something that is just way different. It's just
not
crazy.
in nature anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't even know if I remember this video. I remember Iru looked at it and showed where they were wrong. And then they show this test here with the fish tank.
Whenever we get the rare opportunity,
I just hope nobody actually listens to this guy and thinks that he's making any good points, because every point can be taken apart. Boats going out to the horizon. He shows these boats here saying, oh, these are the same, and they're going over the horizon. And again, I think that even if you looked at this boat, you could be talking about any kind of a reflection, not a mirage, but reflection. And then also, I don't know if you guys have heard this talk where this guy was mentioning, and just something I wanted to mention because I think it is kind of an interesting thing that he was saying. You know how when we look out at the water like this, let me see. If you're looking out at the ocean, we know that the ocean ramps up to your eye line, right? So if you're standing, let's see this guy. Oh, I keep showing the wrong view. There we go. That's good enough. So if you're standing up higher than the ocean like this, and we know that the ocean has to ramp up to your eye line, then does the ocean continue off for infinity at that level? And he made a good point. He said, wouldn't it need to return to the level? Meaning what he's kind of proposing is, he says, don't you think that since it ramps up to our eyes, doesn't mean that it's curved. It means it's just ramping up to our eyes. We can see that when we look at a bowling lane or whatever. Everything that's flat going away from you ramps up to your eye line. So then doesn't it have to get back down to your foot? If you're standing up above the water, so he was saying like he thinks that the thing ramps up and then after it ramps down. Now you can't see it, it'd be behind this. But he said doesn't have to ramp down, or else we have to believe that it ramps up to your eye line and then everything stays flat at your eye line. But that's not the case, right? Things are flat at your feet. So anyway, I thought somebody brought up a good point where they were saying, could boats just be your eyes have to, the water ramps up and now it needs to go back to where it's level. For instance, if we're standing at this beach looking out, the water's flat with our feet, not our eyes, yet the water ramps up to your eyes. So then how does it get back to your feet? Once it's up at your eyes, doesn't it have to get back down? I thought it was a good point. I was like, I have to think about that, because he was saying maybe that's why we see boats appear to be behind some sort of an edge, but it's because the water ramped up to your eye line and then it needs to go back down. And I was like, I don't know if that's true that it would need to go back down if it's optical, but I saw his point. And then he brings up, this point here.
I always thought this whole part was simple. The boat, the sun, whatever. Like the horizon is an apparent location. Right. The sun, or where the ground and the sky appear to converge. And that's our visual limit. Sometimes we can see further, sometimes we can't see as far. The horizon moves around because of that, and it's based on conditions and optics, etc. So when an object moves beyond that, as the ground ramps up, the objects above the ground starts to move into that convergence point, we start to lose the information of whatever we're viewing.
Right.
The sun goes beyond that apparent convergence point. A boat goes beyond it. And a boat's in the water, of course, so it's going to happen even quicker. It's actually in the water.
Right. So like if someone were to show you this image here and say, what's going on here? If I think it could be a reflection of this, but what would you say that has to do with this? Why does it appear that a boat was going behind this edge here? That's what I think that person was trying to explain. They said, well, the water's ramping down behind this, which I kind of get, but I kind of don't, because I'm like, well, no, this is optical that it rises to your eye level. And he said, yeah, but then a boat, then you have to believe that from this level on into the distance, that water would always stay at that same level, but that's not where the water is.
That's my point. That's my point.
Okay,
the water isn't actually changing its level. So since in the foreground it appears to optically rise, the whole time it's optically rising, it's not actually physically rising.
Right.
So you have the boat moving into that area, and really the water beyond it, where the boat actually is below the horizon. It's just apparent. It's where it's optically rising up to, because it's converging to that point.
Okay,
that's
great.
why the sunset happens. That's why the boats happen. That's why everything happens.
Right. So the sun, when we see,
it's a lot denser there too. The one's a bright blue picture, and then
it's like getting more and more hazy, of course, right? Because and then even with stuff disappearing bottom up, it's like we know that where's the heaviest atmosphere here? It's like, well, always closest to the water, right? That's going to be where the muckiest is. So as a boat goes away from you, where are you going to lose sight of something first? What's going to get blocked by atmosphere first? Well, clearly the bottom of the boat.
It's also true, yes, you have a greater rate of attenuation at the bottom, which is interesting. I actually just posted a video on X, and I dropped in the chat, but it's similar to this idea. The idea that attenuation of light is not relevant is insane.
Oh, and this is the whole thing of why can't we see Spain from the East Coast, or they can't even fathom the fact that atmosphere blocks what we see. They want to believe that it's...
I see them. That's why I made my post. I don't need them to fathom anything. There's proof of it, and if you keep saying it, you're just a liar.
Right.
And like the Canada observation is perfect for it. You can't see the mountains, then eventually you can see the mountains.
Perfect.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like this answers all these ridiculous questions. Like this actually is even worse for them, because what it does is it immediately refutes this claimed exclusivity of why we can't see things in the distance in the first place. When they say, for example, that's what they say with the sun, right? That's what they say with objects or the buildings or whatever. They'll go out there and say, we know there are mountains 200 miles this way. Why can't I see it? Well, it's because it's behind the curve of the earth. No, it's not. You're just making that up. And if you had took that picture from the beginning of the Canada video where you can't see the mountains, they would say, yeah, we can't see the mountains. It's behind the curve of the earth.
Right, that'd be their evidence.
Yeah, that would be their proof that the Earth's a ball. And literally just seconds later, you can see the mountains. So that, of course, disproves the claim that if the Earth were flat, you would always see the mountains. It disproves stupid claims like you just see Mount Everest from New York, and it disproves the claim that it's actually physically obstructed by Earth curvature. One 20-second time lapse, and
there's tons of
to
those.
me, if you can't
know.
honestly address that, like in a hypothetical scenario that you were correct about the Earth being a globe, you're not doing anything other than deterring people away from thinking that by just denying objective reality and lying about it.
Right, they're just causing more and more. If you actually cared about, we don't want flat earthers, well, then you would stop lying because you're just causing more and more people to see that you're lying, and then they buckle down in their new belief because you are lying.
They're just
we can agree to disagree. Like we can agree to disagree, right? Like on the Canada observation, right? It's like, okay, I think it's a minimum of 260 kilometers, 161.7 miles, 1,000-foot observer height. The maximum peak elevation is 9,136 feet. Globe Earth calculation is 9,996 feet or whatever, right? So the entire mountain should be obstructed. The tallest peak, almost 10,000 feet of curvature. And you know that you can go and make this observation in advance, right? 2 days a year, February 8th and November 2nd. So right now we know that on November 2nd, we can go observe the Canada Mountains, and we'll see the silhouette as the sun sets behind it. Right now, I don't need to know atmospheric conditions. I don't need to make up stories about refraction. I don't need to know anything like that. I just know November 2nd, sun sets behind the mountains. Since it's directly in front of me, line of sight, I'm going to see it. February 8th, I'm going to see it. We go there, and we see it. So we can agree to disagree because you believe that it's just a coincidence that just so happens the refractive conditions on those 2 days that we can predict years and years in advance perpetually. We know exactly what's going to happen. Just coincidentally, refraction keeps on working just the right way on those days to lift the mountains up from behind 10,000 feet of curvature and then stop it right where it would be when it's level. Okay, if you want to believe that, you can. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. I think that's retarded. I think it's retarded to claim that refraction is causing it to happen, but I know it's going to happen on November 2nd, 2028.
It's impressive predicting of the
Yeah, that's the one that gets them every time. It's the same thing with the Chicago skyline. On April 20th, if you're at Michigan City, I didn't even know it was that day when I went out there. I just went out there because the humidity dropped below 40% finally. I was waiting for like 2 years for the humidity to be low and for me to be, not at work or doing something at the time. And I go
What's
out
your death
there,
blows? Everyone should be taking those.
Yeah, and there was so many people out there taking pictures because they knew they were going to see the whole skyline because the sun was setting right behind it. Nothing to do with refraction or anything like that.
And this is where they'll try to say, like, they're going to have to claim that it's like that every day. Okay, so now you're going to claim that the way that it always happens on those days is that it happens every day. You see, that's what they have to say, right? Like, logically speaking. They have to claim that that's the conditions every day. Okay, so then we know exactly what the refraction is going to be every day. And we know exactly how off the sunset's going to be timing-wise, based on the globe prediction every day. But that isn't the case. Based on the globe prediction where the sun sets, it is drastically different. And if you're claiming that the silhouette is refracted, then you're claiming the sun is refracted, so you're claiming a specific angular lift, right? So you can literally disprove their entire claim because if you take the globe Earth and where the sun moves 15 degrees per hour based on the size of the Earth, then you have the sun will set at this time. And we know their model claims like, oh, it's never actually there. It looks like it's setting, but it's already set or whatever, right? So now they're claiming, oh, it's always the same. So if it's always the same, then how come the difference between the globe prediction and what we actually observe changes? It always changes from location to location and throughout the year at different days. It's never like exactly 2 minutes off each time. It's not. It's like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, and it changes the amount of degrees that they have to claim the sun's lifted. Does what I'm saying make sense? So
yeah.
So that's to me, it's still my favorite evidence. My favorite observational evidence is Canada and specifically silhouettes. So, I think we should all be making silhouette observations.
And I think that there's a lot more to be made that people just don't know about or have never looked at. But you could just go to Google Earth and play with the sunset and try and see if you can find. Because, we saw that one with my infrared camera. And that's another thing. If you can get an infrared, we went out to that down south when we were trying to do observations of the islands out there. And the second day when we saw the island, nobody else there saw it except for me because I had the infrared camera. So everybody had their cameras out. So again, it's the same thing Austin was talking about. If there was Globers who went out on that day and didn't see the island out there, they would then proclaim victory that the Earth curve blocked the island. But with my infrared camera, we saw that the island is there. So
also think about just how retarded it is. Like intuitively, we know that. Like intuitively, we know the reason we may not see the mountains is because of the conditions.
Right.
It needs to be clear enough outside for us to see. When it's clear outside, we see further. Like we all know that. My 21-month-old child knows that, bro. Like intuitively.
Well, and I was trying to show people this just because I thought it was. Let me bring this up here to something I can grab and erase. So if we take this here, and I was trying to show people that because what's his name? Ruhif started saying, "Oh no, what you were seeing is just the top of that mountain." And it's like, I just don't know if people realize what that means. Like we were only 70 miles, I think it was 75 miles. But anyway, if you kind of drew it like this, and then you have to imagine that it's a curve, I guess, if you're in their world. So let's do this instead. So if you had this curve, supposedly, and we're on a mountain, oops, get that a little bit, kind of go ellipse, there we go. All right. So if we had like this, even more. Okay, so we're kind of like this. And he was saying, well, you're actually only seeing the tops. So if that was the case, and we saw this, so if you were looking from here and we are seeing just the top of that mountain or the island. So let's say that we were actually seeing something like this, because that's what he claims, that there's a island here and we're just seeing the top peak of it like this. So, but that mountain is like, I forgot what it was, 1,600, 1,700 feet. And then what that means is that there's, like cruise ships are like 200 feet tall. So if that's true, and this is it means like you could stack 6 cruise ships, stack them on top of each other, and we'd still be looking over the hump and seeing just the top of the mountain. It's just insane to me. Like, I don't think people recognize that. You're just looking out over water. We see the island over there, and then somebody's claiming, oh, by the way, you could stack 6 cruise ships on the other side of that hump and you wouldn't see them. It's just all behind the curve of the water. It's like, what? Wait, what? How's that? It's only 75 miles away. How would that be the case? But that's what they claim. I don't know if I have that video right at hand. Let me just listen to this part real quick. I think it's another time slot I had. I think it's regarding something that you said. Let me get that.
For contrast, what's it look like when a flat earther challenges one of their opponents to provide them citations for their claims?
I have 15 measurements of rotation on my website, mc2.net/spin.
Yeah, is that procured from a scientific experiment deliberately?
By the way, I'm pretty sure like MC Toon wrote this documentary. Because it's like all about him and they keep referring to his websites or he helped the guy or something.
For contrast, what's it look like when a flat...
Is that an annual wobble of the Earth with a ring laser gyroscope?
No. What is a laser rotating gyroscope now?
I just had McToon admit that there's up to 4 wobbles and he has no idea how it physically works to have more than 2 and how anyone would ever measure it. Just 2 weeks ago.
They say.
Can I ask you one quick question just because I was listening to the last debate and I don't want this to take us completely off, but did you say that the Michelson-Morley experiment wasn't trying to pick up the orbit around the sun?
Correct. That was not anything that they were looking for.
That is exactly what the Michelson-Morley...
One of the best examples of this is them pointing to the Michelson-Morley experiment, stating that the purpose of the experiment was to test whether or not the Earth was in motion around the sun, that the experiment was negative, and as such, it was proof that the Earth was in fact stationary. Not only do most flat earthers clearly misunderstand the historical context surrounding the experiment and its purpose, many of them intentionally quote mine from the paper and other related writings. They love to bring up this whole notion that the results they got from this experiment were quote-unquote the greatest of all negative results, i.e. that it debunked the notion that the Earth was in motion. But as usual, they get it completely backwards.
Physics has its folklore and its legends just like any other culture. For example, I'm sure you remember the famous story of Isaac Newton and the apple. Well, there's a legend about the Michelson-Morley experiment that's just as deeply rooted as the story about Isaac and the apple. It goes like this. Michelson and Morley did their
Huh?
Whatever this guy says has to be true. I know that. I don't know what he's going to say, but it has to be true.
I don't know.
Like, it's just retarded. This is also retarded. It's like if you've been in this conversation for years, you can't go to the freaking paper and read the title that says the relative motion of Earth and the ether, and you can't go look at the equation they used to actually predict the friendship, which literally has 2 velocity components, and one of the velocities, the v in the equation, used to get the prediction that they were looking for. That's what a prediction is the velocity of Earth. Then, like, bruh, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like though that there's more people that they think because something's said from a channel like MC Toon or something that there's more authority there just because they're just repeating what of course they want you to know, what they want you to hear, what they want you to believe. So when you have somebody who comes out like Austin or Caleb in this point, or anybody who's talking about Michael Morley, and they're saying something different than what you're normally hearing, you just need to listen to why they're saying that. Listen to what they're coming up with. Like when these guys keep going on and on about, I think you were talking to, maybe it was PhD Blitz. I don't know who you were talking to the other day, but you guys were going through whether or not Einstein used, whether or not the Michael Morley had something to do with his, and like they'll just argue that point, even though you have evidence of him saying, like he said, and like, yeah, but he said later in life that he didn't remember that. It's like, yeah, later in life.
Of like literally the year before he died.
Right.
And basically what it was, he knew he was going to die. And it was like, dude, okay, this has been hovering over me my entire life, right? This Michelson-Morley thing, he's quoted in letters as saying he's really worried about it because of Dayton Miller's replications of Michelson-Morley, which verified their results repeatedly with over millions of measurements because he made multiple at the same time.
Right.
If that was true, then he's like, dude, my whole theory, my whole life's work just collapses like a house of cards. That's how he phrased it because he was salty about it. He said, I can't come up with any idea. If there's not some underlying fundamental error that I can't explain, then everything I think is wrong. He said it twice within 3 years. Right before he died, first of all, why are you invoking someone right before they die anyway? But so he's about to die, and he's like, I can't remember if I even knew about Michelson-Morley at the time. Right. That's crazy. That's crazy because you gave a speech literally saying it was the first thing that led you on your path to special relativity. And in your special and general theory of relativity paper, where you summarize the 2 theories, you extensively explain it is the most notable of the attempts that needed to be explained, and that your theory is what explains it.
Yeah, imagine
you just have to be
willfully
ignorant. You have to be willfully ignorant or dishonest, right?
Mostly
ignorant or dishonest.
Because if I said something today that I said, the reason that I made this video yesterday is because of this video that Austin made a week ago. If I say that today, and then towards the end of my death, you go back and you reference that, and then I said, well, I don't even remember if Austin's video had anything to do with my video. Well, the fact that I said that at the beginning is the evidence, is the proof. I originally said I'm doing this video today because of Austin's video. So you can't then say, well, Jeran said at the end of his life that he couldn't even remember if it had anything to do with it. It's like, yeah, but we have evidence of him saying that it was the reason. And you're like,
so funny, bro. They all reference one paper that talks about this. They all reference one paper that talks about it, if he knew or not. In the paper they reference, there's only one. They talk about the contradictory nature of that quote attributed to him before he died. And then the paper that they're citing shows how it's unlikely that's true because of all the other things he said, all the other evidence, and what he says in his own papers.
Yeah, they just missed what he said later on.
And then they speculate that maybe he was going crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that paper.
The paper that they invoke, if they've even gone as far as to actually read the paper, right? But to me, this is what's so crazy, bro, is like, why are you lying about it? Like, this is like what's so weird to me is you would think that if there was any validity to that side, wouldn't have literally 100% of them lying.
Yeah, it's like they have like this figment in their imagination that everything that the Globe's ever done is perfect. And so any release or any kind of, maybe you're right about that, or, maybe Flat Earth got this right, is to them the death of the Globe. So they almost feel it's okay to lie. It's okay to lie to Flat Earthers, to write them emails and say that you're actually pilots or whatever you want to do just to mess with people. Like all those things are okay in their mind. It's just crazy to me. I mean, that they think that the ends justify the means. I can lie because the Earth's the globe. The thing that kind of does freak me out a little bit is I see a lot of that in the Flat Earth community starting up, or this new line of thinking is that, well, we'll just it's flat because it is flat, and so anything that we say we can just make things up and it doesn't really matter because it's flat. It's like, well, just be careful because that is exactly the reason most of us became Flat Earthers, is because that's how the globe acts. So I don't want to see my own side taking that road. Stay scientific, stay observational. Don't get into this idea.
for everyone that's curious, the easiest way now, this is why they have to do videos like this where they have no pushback. They all have to just stay in their echo chambers. They accuse us of that. So that's what they do, though.
Right.
Or if they ever talk to you, they have to interrupt you the whole debate. This is why. Because this is how easy it is. It's like, okay, so you're saying that they weren't trying to detect the motion of the Earth in Michelson-Morley. It had nothing to do with the motion of the Earth. That's normally the exact quote that they said. Like, oh, okay. So do you agree that you can use interferometry to detect motion? Yes or no? Answer is yes. Okay. Do you agree that they were using an interferometer in Michelson-Morley? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Do you agree that they had a prediction of the fringe shift they would get with that interferometer? What motion did they use to get their prediction of a fringe shift with the interferometer? If you can actually get through that simple, easy sequence of questions to one of these people, it completely destroys what they're saying. That's why they almost across the board uniformly will never let you do that. They will never let you walk through that line of logic and ask those simple closed-ended questions. They'll never answer them honestly. They'll interrupt you. And then when you get to that point right there, someone like FTFE would just start screaming about something completely unrelated. You know what I'm saying? Or like talking about how he has a degree or something. Because the answer to the final question is the velocity of the Earth, objectively. That's what the way that they got their fringe shift. And they were trying to see if the velocity of light was constant in relation to the assumed orbit of the Earth. So what they were going to do was detect the orbit of the Earth with a fringe shift to see exactly what the light does in relation to it. Right. So anyway, long story short, or if you only have time for one question, literally say, like, okay, what was the velocity component that they used in their equation? And the answer is the velocity of light. The other velocity component was the velocity of Earth. Okay, that's how they got I don't know. To me, it's just weird because, like, what I did was I heard this stuff. I thought it was very interesting. I'm like, wait, why is this being misrepresented by the mainstream? I went and looked into it. I'm like, well, this is a pretty rich history that's very interesting that we're not told about. This is kind of crazy to fully understand and accurately understand what happened that got us here, where everyone believes what they believe. And to me, not approaching it that way is so weird. It's like such a foreign concept. You know what I'm saying? You can't reason with someone like that.
No, it's like when I saw the Edwin Hubble thing, I'm like, all right, this is great. This is, all you need to expose this as. These guys aren't doing science when they're proclaiming things are absolute whores and we must stay away from this at all costs. And, you can just show people, and they can't even admit that. They can't even admit that, well, they believe in this world where scientists have no bias, which is just insane. It's like, no, they're human beings. Of course they have bias. Of course they're going in with a predetermined kind of idea in their mind, which they shouldn't be if they're, definitely doing actual real science. But we understand that they're just people. So they would make these assumptions about their results, but it doesn't mean, again, they don't want there to be a creator. This is what science is against. Science is against, they think that they're the smartest things that ever were here, so they don't like the idea of there being something more important than them or more intelligent than them. So they do everything they can to refute that, including when they have observations that match us being the center of the universe. It's just easier to make up something else, like maybe we're on a raisin bread. And if the raisin bread's being cooked, then all the raisins are actually moving further away from each other, so let's just pretend. So that's fine if you want to postulate that. And then you want to take, this could be true because we're the center of the universe and that's what we observe. Or this could be true, but they didn't do that. They disregard one as an absolute whore, right? They disregard one as we must stay away from this at all costs. So then they take us down the road of expanding universe and the raisins are moving. And then we get everything we have today. And you have to realize if your foundations are wrong, then basically everything you're doing is wrong. And that's the problem with this is why they're off by 10 to the 120. This is why it's the biggest mismatch in the history of science, is because once you've made drastic mistakes in your foundations, then whatever you get out of that's not going to be worth anything. And that's why we have dark matter and dark energy and all these things that are just now fillers, like mathematical fillers.
The irony of this whole thing is you actually have to be intellectually confident to be able to go examine it and then properly represent it and speak about it. Or certainly even speak about it without, having a conclusion or making a claim. To be able to challenge any type of like low-level mainstream propaganda, you have to have intellectual confidence. So that's like the most ironic part of this whole thing. I don't care if someone calls me stupid. I'm not stupid. I don't care what they say. You saying I'm stupid isn't going to somehow change whether or not I'm stupid, and why would I care, right? But if you don't have that intellectual competence, you're not gonna like talk about something that is ostensibly as complex as relativity, and much less talk about it going against the mainstream. So you can pretend to kind of know about it or talk about it as long as you just repeat the talking points. It is the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? That's the ironic part of this whole thing. But hey, did you hear, apparently 4 minutes ago, The Guardian, apparently there was a recent second assassination attempt on Trump. Shots fired at his golf club.
I saw somebody in Telegram say something about Trump in a false flag, but I didn't hear what it was about. That just happened?
Yeah, well, I guess maybe an hour ago, because that's the oldest report I see.
Real quick, I want to just go through some of these chats. Somebody, Think About Bear says, have you seen the videos of the sun pulsing every 4 seconds? I'm not sure I have, but again, something like that if that happened, you would have tons of videos of it, right? You wouldn't have one. If the sun started flashing, people in the world would start taking photos of that and videos. They've got it in their pocket. So I doubt if you have one video that you're going to show me, then I don't consider that evidence. If one person has a video of the sun pulsing, I don't even consider that. Think about it. Think of how many people see the sun. If the sun is pulsating outside my house right now, well, about a bunch of billions of people can see that, let alone maybe, let's say hundreds of millions of people can see that. So if you think there would just be one video of the sun pulsing, I don't agree. So if you have more than one video or a certain event or date or something like that, I would like to see it. But not if it's just one video. Things are so easy to fake now, guys. It's to base something off of a video is getting kind of futile at this point. I mean, at this point, how do you ever, with AI and everything else, I mean, they could literally tell AI to produce a 24-hour video of the sun going around the south, and AI would probably get the angles right and everything, right? If that's all that you want to do, just produce a video. So nowadays, it's kind of too late for them to do that. Where were these in 2015? How is there no South Pole webcam that doesn't cut 8 hours? Those things would have been here if they were real, but they're not. So anyway, but Think About Bear, if you have that link, I'll take a look at the 4-second flashing sun. Lance Single Production says, South America, South Africa, Australia, and land under the Pacific. I find the sea level is at the base of all southern continents. However, heading north, there is an incline on all sides to the center. A pyramid? Wait, where are you seeing that? I want to see that. So South America, South Africa, Australia, and land under the Pacific. I find that sea level is at the base of all southern continents. So isn't it also at the base of all northern continents? However, heading north, there is an incline on all sides. Yeah, how would you know that? Because sea level on the Earth is considered sea level everywhere. So where are you getting the data that tells me that we're ramping up? I would like to know that data, though. That's kind of like the Ferguson map shows. Dr. Bass Ackwards says, off topic, wanted to ask about star trail rotation. Is it possible to get star trail videos with opposing directions anywhere on Earth just based on what direction we're facing? If so, why don't people know that? Yes, that's true. No matter where you're at, if you face south from the north, your stars will rotate left to right over the top, which is clockwise. If you face north, they're working right to left over the top, which is counterclockwise. So no matter where you're at on the Earth, even if you're at the equator, technically you could turn to the south and you would see stars rotating one direction, turn to the north and see them go the other direction. Anybody disagree with that? Or is that, I don't know if that's what he was asking. What he says, is it possible to get star trail videos with opposing directions anywhere on Earth just based on what direction we're facing? Yes. If so, why don't people know that? I don't know, because they love to use this counterclockwise clockwise thing, which isn't, that's relative relative positions. So it's not really something that we should talk about. I mean, you can talk about it if you need to refer to something rotating and you want to know, okay, the way of a clock is clockwise, but you're not deciding there, is it below my eyes or above my eyes? Again, we talked about it last time. When you take your arms out side to side, like you're doing little circles when you were in school, doing some stretching, if you're doing little circles forward with both your arms, look to the right, and that is going counterclockwise. And then if you look left, it's going clockwise. So they're going the same direction, but it's just your reference, where you're referencing it from. And there's one other one here. He says, virologists still believe in the existence of viruses. Go figure. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Again, and that just came around not very long ago. I mean, I forgot what book I was reading the other day where it says, like, oh, the new germ theory. It's like early 1900s, and it's talking about the new germ theory, which wasn't well accepted yet. And now it's like gospel. You can't dare go against that, even though it clearly is faulty, and they can't even single out these things or say, here's a COVID bug that's going between you and her. No, it's just believe us. We have to stick this cotton ball up your nose to get the COVID bug. All right, I think that's everything for now over there. Let me hear what this guy said since Austin told us it's going to be the truth.
Experiment and prove that there was no ether. And so Albert Einstein was forced to invent the theory of relativity in order to explain that result.
The Michelson-Morley experiment was done in 1887, at which point we had known for quite some time that the Earth was in motion. This was not at all in question. 40 years earlier, we had Bessel's...
No, if it wasn't in question, it's fine, but if the results tell you something, and then you have to go and change shit, then that tells you that maybe you were wrong.
Measurements of stellar parallax, and 111 years before that, we had Bradley's discovery of stellar aberration, among many others. That wasn't the point of Michelson-Morley at all. The TLDR on Michelson-Morley was that at the time, we knew Earth was revolving around the sun. We knew the speed of light, and it was believed that, because light behaves like a wave, is obviously traveling through space, and all waves were thought to require a medium to propagate, there must be something filling all of that space out there, some kind of invisible, undetectable medium, something that was known as the luminiferous ether. Let's go ahead and do what none of the flat earthers actually do, which is read the damn paper. The paper mentions two hypotheses that were used in tandem to attempt to explain what at the time was an unexplained observation related to the fact that the measurements of aberration did not change as expected when measured using a telescope filled with water versus one without. The first hypothesis was that,
which is Airy's feather, right? Please so.
Yeah.
That the ether was at rest, with the second hypothesis being related to how transparent media was suspected to interact with the ether as it moved through it, requiring said media, like water or glass, to drag the ether along at some rate slower than the media itself, which would explain the measured differences in the speed of light based on that media. Now, the paper claims the second hypothesis had been sufficiently experimentally confirmed, although the first, that the ether was at rest, had not yet been, and quote-unquote, the experimental trial of the first hypothesis forms the subject of the present paper. So the Michelson-Morley experiment very clearly and unambiguously states that it was testing the theory that the ether was at rest, using the known movements and speeds of the Earth and light as a basis for testing the relative speed between the Earth and the assumed luminiferous ether. It's like literally in the title of the paper.
Right, so keep going.
The relative motion of the Earth and the luminiferous ether. The general idea was they would measure the speed of light at two different angles, one in the direction of the motion that the Earth was traveling, and the other 90 degrees perpendicular to it, expecting that it would travel at measurably different speeds through the stationary ether in either direction. And what they found was that there was no difference, completely destroying the whole notion of a stationary luminiferous ether, which of course, as we know now, ultimately led to the development of Einstein's special theory of relativity.
So here's a quote from Einstein. It says, "While I was thinking of this problem in my student years, I came to know the strange result of Michelson's experiment." That's the Michelson-Morley experiment. And he comes down to say, "Since then, I've come to believe that the motion of the Earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment, though the Earth is revolving around the sun." So he just straight up says, I believe the Earth is moving around the sun, but I can't actually detect it with any optical experiment. So this is, of course, that test. They shot perpendicular light rays. They expected that there would be what's called a fringe shift or an interference pattern of a certain amount based on the assumed revolution speed of the Earth around the sun. They did not see this. So what they actually said was that the apparatus contracted in the direction of motion with length contraction. So it just made it look like the Earth wasn't moving. It's called the most famous failed experiment in history because it was a quote unquote no result. Although if you look closely, there actually was a slight fringe shift.
Yeah, so first, the flat earther Austin Whitsitt dishonestly quote mines Einstein, implying that he believed it to be...
Wait, why was it dishonest? What is he talking about?
He's an idiot.
He just read.
He couldn't even define quote mine.
He just read a quote. How is it quote mining if you read a quote from somebody, including the context? It's just ridiculous.
Experimentally impossible to know that the Earth was moving, but for some reason just believes it, as if on faith alone. This is, of course, nonsense. We had already experimentally measured Earth.
Wait, time out. So he had to just completely embellish and add to what I said. Like, I've read his full paper. He claims he thinks things like stellar aberration and stuff is evidence here it's moving. But he admits it's not actually exclusive evidence, and that in his paper. But that's what he's going to try to do, I guess, is point out that Einstein said he thought it was moving around the Earth for other reasons or something. But I didn't quote mine anything. What does that quote mine?
No, we've said he's basically saying I can't measure this or show it. There's no experiment that's going to show it, but I believe it. That's all I'm saying.
Earth's motion in multiple ways for more than a century before Einstein said this. And then he tries to hand-wave away the results of the experiment by referencing later work surrounding the Lorentz contraction, something that happened literally years later, and then implies that the experiment was a quote-unquote failure because it had a null result, as if they had fucked something up or had no idea what they were doing.
But he didn't imply that.
In reality, it's regarded as one of the most important experiments in physics because of its quote-unquote negative result, because it failed to support the...
So he's not allowed to say null result, but you're allowed to say negative result. You just took what he said and played off of that, so we could say the same thing. You just called it a negative result. But it's really one of the most positive results in the history of science.
Original hypothesis, i.e. that the ether existed, the thing that flat earthers are so desperate to hold on to. Now we get some fantastic additional context in his biography, entitled Michelson and the Speed of Light, just in case there was any doubt as to the original purpose of the experiment or the interpretation.
Why did I recognize this name, Bernard Jaffe? Austin probably knows it. There's some, he either made some quotes that I'm thinking of. Why do I Bernard Jaffe?
Interpretation of the...
Well, he breaks down the issues with Michelson Morley pretty well. I've quoted him.
Oh, you
he
quoted him. Okay,
probably
that's right.
learned everything he's pretending to know from my shows. I swear, I'm not joking.
Results. They made thousands of observations both at noon and at 6 p.m., day after day for 16 different directions, while the Earth was constantly changing its position. They strained their eyes looking for interference bands and for any shift in the patterns of interference bands. The final observations were made in July 1887. When all the data had been recorded and analyzed, and all the calculations had been made, checked, and rechecked, they had to face an obstinate fact that had destroyed a beautiful theory. No shift had been recorded on the order of magnitude demanded by the hypothesis of a stationary ether. It looked like a verdict of death to the notion of a calm ether sea. This was contrary again to all expectations. Michelson's thinking had kindly taken to the idea of an ether that could be detected. Scientists all over the world could read the conclusion. There was no observable difference in the velocity of light in whatever direction the observer was moving. What it meant, incredible as it might appear, was that no matter how fast you ran after light, you could not catch up with it. Now, since the Earth moves around the Sun at about 18 miles per second, the speed of a beam of light traveling with the Earth's orbital motion should be greater than that of a beam traveling in the opposite direction. Yet Michelson's experiment denied this assumption. To his utter amazement, the experiment produced a zero effect. Michelson could find no drag on the transmission of light in any direction. The data were almost unbelievable. The so-called ether wind had no effect whatever on the velocity of light, whether the beam was traveling with the quote-unquote wind or across it. There was only one other possible conclusion to draw, that the Earth was at rest. Now that last line is one that's famously been used time and time again by flat Earth proponents and geocentrists alike as evidence that this experiment proves the Earth was stationary.
I've never heard anybody say that, but they are pointing out that that's one of the possibilities, and you can't just dismiss it.
But you know what he won't do? He won't explain why it's a possibility. He won't explain what had to be done to keep the other assumptions.
To the list of we've got.
They can't stillman this side because it's too good.
Yeah, we got briefly everything occurs as if the Earth were at rest. Physicist Henrik Lorentz. There was just one alternative. The Earth's true velocity through space might happen to be nil, from physicist Arthur Eddington. The failure of many attempts to measure terrestrial any effects of the Earth's motion, physicist Wolfgang Pauli. We do not have and control any means of discovering whether or not we are carried along in uniform motion of translation, Henri Poincaré. A great deal of research has been carried out concerning the influence of the Earth's movement. The results were always negative, Poincaré. This conclusion directly contradicts the explanation which presupposes that the Earth moves, Michelson. The data of Michelson-Morley was almost unbelievable. There was only this is where it is from physicist Bernard Jaffe, that the Earth was at rest. We can't feel our motion through space, nor has any physical experiment ever proved that the Earth is actually in motion, historian Lincoln Barnett. Thus, even now, 3.5 centuries after Galileo, it's still remarkably difficult to say categorically whether the Earth moves, Julian Barber. There is no planetary observation by which we on Earth can prove that the Earth is moving in an orbit around the Sun, physicist I. Bernard Cohen. Thus, the failure of Michelson-Morley to observe different speeds of light at different times of year suggested that the Earth must be at rest. It was therefore the preferred frame for measuring absolute motion in space. Yet we have known since Galileo that the Earth is not the center of the universe. Why should it appear to be at rest in space? Adolf Baker. There's more. It could go on and on, but how about this one? In an effort to explain Michelson-Morley experiment, the thought was advanced that the Earth might be stationary. Such an idea was not considered seriously, since it would mean in effect that our Earth occupied the omnipotent position in the universe, with all the other heavenly bodies paying homage to it by revolving around it. Physicist Arthur S. Otis.
Literally just saying it would mean the Earth is special, so we couldn't take it seriously.
Right. So we can't. That would be we can't be important. We can't be. Yeah. It can't be.
You know what's so funny about this, real fast? Like this guy's hero seems to be McToon. He thinks he's some intellectual authority. McToon has just given up on debating me about Michelson-Morley at all, which is why one of the reasons I stopped talking to him. He's like not even valuable anymore because he's gotten so exposed and he knows he can't defend it. So like McToon's default now is just to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make the Earth flat. Oh, you're just trying. Oh, that's a globe. Oh, geocentrism is a globe. Literally."
Right, and because you can't use that paper because the people who wrote the paper believed in a globe.
It literally, just to completely avoid actually debating what Michelson-Morley shows, they try to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter because the geocentrism model is a globe." Like, which is like, are you just conceding that it did show the Earth is stationary? Is that what you're doing? Like, I don't. Anyway, yeah, I just think it's funny.
It is funny. Stephen Hawking here. So which is real, the Ptolemaic or Copernican system? Although it is not uncommon for people to say that Copernicus proved Ptolemy wrong, that is not true. One can use either picture as a model of the universe, as for our observations of the heavens can be explained by assuming either the Earth or the Sun to be at rest. That's Stephen Hawking. Last one I'll read here. If we were to adopt a frame of reference like Tycho's in which the Earth is at rest, then the distant galaxies would seem to be executing circular turns once a year, and in general relativity, this enormous motion would create forces akin to gravitation, which would act on the Sun and planets and give them the motions of the tectonic theory. That's Steven Weinberg. Oh, that's the Steven Weinberg that was on with Joe Rogan? Yeah, okay. I never recognize that he's the one they're talking about. There's some other ones here I'm not really sure if I've read before. This is it possible to describe the entire universe using any chosen point as the unmoving center? The Earth will do very well, and no one can prove that choice is wrong. Scientists today prefer to picture everything in motion and nothing as being at the center. If you haven't given much thought of the implications of the 20th century science, you may be chagrined to realize that because of the concept of relative motion, no one can prove that the Earth moves. Kitty Ferguson, science writer. Thus, we may return to Ptolemy's point of the view of the motionless Earth. This would mean that we use a system of reference rigidly fixed to the Earth in which all stars are performing a rotational motion with the same angular velocity through the Earth's, around the Earth's axis. One has to show that the transformed metric can be regarded as producing, according to Einstein's field equations, by distant rotating masses. This has been done by Thuring. He calculated a field due to the rotating hollow, thick-walled sphere and proved that inside the cavity it behaved as though there were centrifugal and other inertial forces usually attributed to absolute space. Thus, from Einstein's point of view, Ptolemy and Copernicus are equally right. What point of view is chosen is a matter of expediency, and that's from Max Born. This, one that got me really to kind of open my eyes was this one by George Ellis, saying, "I can construct for you a spherically symmetrical universe with the Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds." In my view, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I want to bring out into the open is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria in choosing our models, and a lot of cosmology tries to hide that. I mean, anytime you've got something that's a science that we're all told is unbiased and has no lies and is all on the up and up, and then you've got a physicist, a mainstream top 10 physicist in the world, telling you that a lot of cosmology tries to hide that. What? That goes against everything I've been told about science. There's not a science that there's a lot of some of it trying to be hidden, or that's not science. Science is the free information being shared and getting close to the truth when you're trying to hide things. So
yeah, science is the truth, and the truth fears no scrutiny.
Right.
It's
if the Earth isn't moving relative to the ether, then Earth alone among the cosmos is at rest relative to the ether. Now that may be an absurd possibility, but maybe it's true. I think that you can see that this is not going to be very philosophically satisfying, and it isn't satisfying physically either, but it violates the Copernican principle that the Earth isn't special. It is particularly absurd in light of what we know from modern cosmology, namely that there are places in the universe, distant galaxies in particular, that are moving away from us at speeds very close to the speed of light. It's absurd to imagine that everything in the universe is pinned to Earth when there are such a wide range of speeds relative to the Earth throughout the universe, but it suffices to rule it out on this philosophical ground. It's Richard Wolfson. There's a whole bunch more in here. I don't know if any of them are great. I think we got through some of the great ones. See whether the Earth rotates once a day from east to west as Copernicus taught, or the heavens revolve once a day from east to west as his predecessors believed, the observable phenomenon will always be the exact same. This shows a defect in Newtonian dynamics, since an empirical system ought not to contain a metaphysical assumption, which can never be proved or disproved by observation. Physicist Dennis Sciama, I guess that's the name.
The real question is, do you think that this guy would debate me or could debate me? Like,
no. The
So
guy,
that's what's so gay about it, right? Like,
yeah, no, the guy who made this video, I don't even think he put most of it together. He's not. I don't even know what other videos. He's never done videos like this. He just like got hair up his butt and did an 8-hour. Where'd he get all this footage? Oh, I didn't even know it was in it.
he just basically said I quote mined, but then didn't explain how I quote mined. Just moved to another quote.
Right. The new thing is, if you bring up a quote that doesn't match exactly what the person was saying believes, they think that's quote mining. It's not.
They're just stupid.
Yeah, and it's actually the whole
quote mining
basis of like copyright. What they call fair use is like you're allowed to take somebody's work and then say, well, if they see this, then it could actually mean this. Why is that not okay? Just you don't
quote
have
mining. Quote mining is when you take someone's quote, you claim it means something it doesn't mean.
Right.
By removing context. That's what it means. Like, as in, if I had read the next sentence after that Einstein quote, it would have said that he actually did think you could detect the motion of the Earth using an optical experiment. Right. But of course, he doesn't say that. And my argument is, even Einstein admitted, Einstein, the famous guy that helped save the model, Einstein that was obviously a heliocentrist, he literally is touted as the guy who saved the heliocentric model with relativity in the face of Michelson-Morley. Even he admitted. And the reason he's important is because he created the theory that you're appealing to. Even he admitted that according to his theory, you can't actually detect the motion of the Earth with optical experiment. So if I then show a quote of him saying, even though I do believe, I think I know that the Earth moves around the sun, I can't actually verify that. It's impossible to do so with any optical experiment. The quote directly proves my claim, and it directly and accurately represents his claim. It's the antithesis of quote mining. This is how it goes with everything. They have to find a singular phrase, accusatory phrase, and they use that all on repeat so that they can avoid having to address the substance of the point, right? So if I make a specific point, they can just say it's words out.
Right, and the
if
audience
you bring up a
loves
specific quote, they can just say it's quote mining or it's cherry picking, and none of it's true. It doesn't matter. Because it's like, oh yeah, that's what it is, and they can all just repeat it. To them, that's like satisfactory. You know?
Yep, that's what the audience wants. The audience wants those easy, digestible. They don't want any kind of detailed refutation. They just want to hear, oh, it's words out. Oh, that's funny. Let's get a dressing bottle, and that's all that they can handle. We've got, so if the Earth is rest relative to the Easter, then it alone is at rest. That makes us pretty damn special. Do you really want to return to the parochial pre-Copernican ideas? Do you really think that you and your planet are so special that in all the vast richnesses of the universe, you alone can claim to be at rest? Well, if that's what observations tell us, then why wouldn't you look into that? This is from Stephen Hawking. He says...
Well, who said the last one?
Physicist Richard Wolfson.
That one's rough, man. I don't even remember that one.
This one has all this evidence that the universe looks the same, whichever direction we look, might seem to suggest there is something special about our place in the universe. In particular, it might seem to suggest that if we observe all other galaxies to be moving away from us, then we must be the center of the universe. There is, however, an alternative explanation. The universe might look the same in every direction as seen from any other galaxy, too. This, as we have seen with Friedman's second assumption, we have no scientific evidence for this or against it. This assumption, we believe it only on grounds of modesty. It would be most remarkable if the universe looked the same in every direction around us, but not around other points in the universe. That's from Stephen Hawking. And what he's basically saying there is that, yeah, from our observation point, everything's moving away from us. Seems to place us at the center, but then they just jump to the conclusion that, well, I'm sure it looks like that from everywhere. Well, where's your evidence of that? And he just said it.
Yeah, so, and this is the thing. It's almost to believe that it's cool. I want them to understand that it's a philosophical bias and absorb it as such, and I couldn't care less. The reason that this battle keeps going on is they all lie and claim that it's a definitive scientific fact.
Right.
And it's been proven, and it's the only option. In fact, it's significantly less viable, least likely option that people have a philosophical bias towards. Like, if people can just be honest about that, our work would be done. I'm not trying to proselytize you.
No, that's what Martin Ellis says, right? That's what I always thought was interesting about Stephen. He's like, there's nothing wrong with that. No, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to bring out in the open that we're using philosophical criteria and not actual observations to make our... Like, he's just admitting it. So just be like that. Just recognize what he says. Even though you're a fan of science and you're a fan of astronomy, all this stuff, just recognize what he said and then understand that's all we're saying. Is that, well, there is another option. There is another option. Well, no, there's not. Observationally, we're not the center. No, these guys are the mainstream physicists. They're telling you that it's the same. And you're refusing to believe that because you've been taught that the Earth's heliocentric and you want to promote that, and anything else must be a lie. It's been disproven, even though we got physicists right here saying the opposite. How about physicist Lawrence Krauss saying, but when you look at the CMB map, You can also see that the structure that is observed is in fact, in a weird way, correlated with the plane of the Earth around the sun. Is Copernicus coming back to haunt us? That's crazy. We're looking out at the entire universe as a whole. That would say that we truly are the center of the universe. And of course, they don't want anything to do with that. I have to confess that I was bothered by the fact that the axis of evil seemed linked to a special direction in our solar system. But now we have completely independent data. This is a hint of something really big. That's from Max Tegmark. This is from astrophysicist Yatendra Varshni. It says, the Earth is indeed the center of the universe. The arrangement of the quasars on certain spherical shells is only with respect to the Earth. These shells would disappear if viewed from another galaxy or quasar. This means that the cosmological principle will have to go. Also, it implies that a coordinate system fixed on the Earth will be a preferred frame of reference in the universe. Consequently, both the special and general theory of relativity must be abandoned for cosmological purposes. Again, that's an astrophysicist. No longer could astronomers hope that the Copernican dilemma would disappear with improved data. The data was in hand, and their implication is inescapable. We are the center of a spherically symmetrical distribution of gamma-ray burst sources, and this distribution has an outer edge. Astrophysicist Jonathan I. Katz. Why is the solar system cosmically aligned? Astrophysicist Dragan Huterer. The apparent alignment in the cosmic microwave background is one particular direction through space is called evil because it undermines our ideas about the standard cosmological model. The Copernican principle seems to be in jeopardy. From astrophysicist Ashkov K. Singal. Looking into this anomaly more deeply, we find that it remains robust throughout all 7 years of published WMAP data, and furthermore, that it is very difficult to explain within the context of a canonical inflationary lambda cold dark matter of cosmology, the Big Bang. The observations disagree markedly with the predictions of this theory. Astrophysicists Glenn D. Starkman, Craig J. Copy, Dragan Huter, Dominic Schwartz. One of the most surprising findings is the fluctuations in the cosmic microwave radiation temperatures are large angular scales, do not match those predicted by the standard Big Bang model. Anyway, I could go on and on. But as you can see, that we're not just out in left field making up lies and saying these are things that physicists are saying. Okay. What does this say? Sloat. Christianity is dead and rotting since Galileo cut its throat. Sloat, The Winds of War. I've never heard of that, but that's a book? I wonder what it's about. I'm just going to copy that for myself. All right. And then, Friedrich Nietzsche said, one of the great ones that, where's God gone? He cried, I shall tell you, we have killed him, you and I. We are his murderers. But how have we done this? Well, how were we able to drink up the sea? Who gave us the sponge to wipe away the entire horizon? What did we do when we unchained the earth from its sun? Whether it is moving now, whether we are moving now, away from all suns, are we not perpetually falling, backward, sideward, forward, in all directions? Is there any up or any down left? Are we really in empty space? Has it not become colder? Is it not more and more night coming on all the time? Must not lanterns be lit in the morning? Do we not hear anything yet of the noise of the grave diggers who are burying God? Do we not smell anything yet of God's decomposition? God's too decompose. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we, the murderers of all murderers, console ourselves? Philosopher Nietzsche. So, and we don't need to listen more. I don't know if people have paid any attention to this. I'm assuming most people got to a certain point and gave up, like I did, like 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, this guy's just out of his mind. But it's mostly a McToon highlight film of his debates against people I've never even heard of. They've never even seen him in the flat Earth community at all. I was just trying to read some of these. They are conspiracy theorists. Yes, well, because how does people not know that everything in life is a conspiracy? It's like not even a question. There's how much things are on the up and up. Everything you eat. I mean, this is what you realize when you wake up. Like everything we eat is bad for you, unless it's something you've grown or something that has one ingredient. Everything else, anything processed, anything from the store, anything from a restaurant or for a fast food place, it's just not good for you. It's just why? It's because it's a conspiracy. Nabisco isn't out there looking for the best chocolate for their Oreo cookies. They're looking for the cheapest chocolate that they can sell to you. That it's addictive and it's. Oh wait, why is he showing this? This is the what's that documentary with Bilu? Forgot the name of it now. The Concave Earth. I just thought I saw it. Where was it? I don't know. Anyway, this is. If you guys want to look it up, it's on under Veritas, and it's from 3 months ago. Flat Earth is way worse than you think. And again, he just went and found a bunch of clips of people debating, saying some kind of off-the-wall ridiculous stuff, and then he's just making fun of them and calls that proof that the flat Earth is wrong. I didn't know he shows that one in there. Oh, what's he showing? Oh, that's him. Well, we saw last week.
Darwinian life, and that there will be something equivalent to genes. There'll be something equivalent to DNA, which is very, very exactly copied, not absolutely exactly, but usually exactly copied. There'll be something equivalent to DNA, and it may well not be DNA, it may be nothing like DNA. But of course, we haven't been to distant planets to find other forms of life. And so I instead said, maybe there's another kind of replicator on this planet that potentially could be doing the same job as DNA. And that's where the meme came from. The meme is the unit of cultural inheritance. It's anything that behaves like a gene in human culture. The equivalent of the act of reproduction at the genetic level would be the act of copying an idea from one brain to another.
Now, the idea of memes as...
This guy's promoting Richard Dawkins. I mean, come on. Was it last week on the show or the week before? I don't know, when we had Richard Dawkins trying to explain evolution and just hysterical. They really have no idea. You just have to believe it. Right? Well, this is our story. We're sticking to it, and you can't even teach something different, or else they will remove you from being a teacher. All right. So I don't really have anything much else to talk about in that one. Did you have a certain point you wanted to talk about, Zack? I know you said you saw something, but I don't know if you have a time stamp.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of some of the stuff you were talking about, like the boats on the horizon. I noticed throughout this whole thing, they never mentioned diffraction at all.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
no point. Earth curve calculator takes it into account. There's nothing. They pretend like it doesn't even exist. And that it's not like it happens, on when the weather's like this. It happens all the time, always. It's a fundamental limitation of any lens with a circular aperture. So that's your eye, a camera.
And you've shown that. And you've shown that in the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And what did I see from somebody else? I mean, where do you get? Oh yeah, this part here where he brings Alex Jones in and shows like that's some sort of. He's like, oh, Alex Jones comes in and shuts down Austin here. Watch, it's hilarious.
Demonstrates that it's.
No, I wouldn't say it's. Well, okay, it's the effect of things falling to the Earth, right? And it's little g, gravity. Of course, it exists. We use it for engineering. We use it to determine weight. Of course, it 100% exists. But why? What is it? Is there a force pulling everything down to the Earth? Well, that's what the globe needs. The evidence for gravity is the way that it's been defined is that, well, the Earth can't be a globe without it. But no, actually, density causes things to go up and down, and electrostatics.
Why does density cause things to go up and down?
Whoa, why do all you have to interrupt the conclusion?
And that's not even the part I was looking for. Where's the part? He actually thinks that it's a good. He's like, oh, I'm watching Alex Jones come in and shut him down. And Alex Jones like walks in, talks about drinking beer. Like what?
Yeah, that the sun looked like a sphere and then ran away and didn't let me respond.
Yeah, it's like, and you were making a point right before that was great. Do you remember what the point you were making as?
Yeah, he brought it. His home run was the Pontchartrain bridge, and I just completely threw it back on him. How it would require the Earth be like 1/50th the size they claim it is.
Oh,
and I explained it, and then Jones ran in to save him from having to respond.
Yeah, because it was right at a point where. Like I was listening, I was like, "Oh my god, it was such a good point." And then he brings Jones in. I just don't remember where that was. I thought it was right here, but I don't see Jones coming in. Anyway,
I had one at 3:38, but it's about the Michelson-Morley. We pretty much covered that one.
I don't remember where that was. 3 hours, 38 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why was that? Why was Duffy there for? I saw him with Duffy there a second ago. Let me see if I can find that. 3 hours, 34, he said? Sorry.
3:38.
3:38. So same point here. I think we watched that.
They say.
Can I ask you one quick question just because...
Yeah, we already caught that one. We did that one. I just was looking...
And then 3:22. They said the thing that just made me want to puke about how all flat earthers just act childish in debates.
3 hours, 22?
Yeah.
You go there, 3:20.
And then they do go show some flat earthers that like these people that we've never heard of.
Right. Did he show Toon going, "You bastard"?
No, yeah, he didn't show any of that stuff.
Oddly enough, they all seem to show up to these debates acting like an insolent middle schooler who clearly forgot about the assignment. asserting that the dog must have eaten the homework that they definitely emailed to their teacher that they must have lost, blaming the teacher for the slight and demanding that they get an A for their inconvenience without having to present anything.
Well, so you understand that redshift theory has been disproven over and over again.
Ooh, send the DOI links to it. Go ahead.
You understand that Hubble's redshift has been disproven by quasars.
Send the DOI link.
He's actually right.
Link to it.
Yeah,
And we'll have
He's actually right.
Look, yeah.
I'll send you some stuff. I mean, it's cool.
All right. Do you know what a DOI
But he
link
just
is?
didn't come prepared for somebody like Toon, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's
mean,
whoever wins a debate is not their theory is not true, or it's not like just because you could be good at debate. I mean, it's more about the information being presented, and if you just ignore it all, well, then how are you ever going to learn?
This is the thing. This is why I can't stand McToon at all, though. McToon has heard that. He knows that his paradigm has no answer. Admittedly, they have no answer. They don't know what to say about it. They throw their hands up. They say, we're not sure. And they have all these baseless, made-up ideas of like anomalies and stuff, and they just call it anomalies. McToon knows that. So his out here is to try to pretend that it's not true and act like he doesn't know about it, that the flat earthers are just making something up that doesn't exist. But he literally knows.
Yeah,
he knows it exists.
The whole idea of redshifting is funny to me because we know when there's Doppler effects, like an ambulance going by you, that the reason that happens is because the atmosphere, the air, is causing the sound waves to bunch up or stretch out. That's why you get that change. And then they apply that to light in space. But there's no atmosphere. So what is causing that to happen? Again, and then the reason he's saying it's disproved by quasars is because you have to know the frequency that something starts at to then say, oh, we see this frequency coming, but they don't know that. How would you know what the frequency starting at a star is? You can't measure at that star. So if it's attenuating or it's like, dropping, then that could just be that light drops over time. Well, they don't even consider that.
I mean, Redshifts, Cosmology and Academic Science, Seeing Red by Halton Arp. That's his second book. He breaks all this down. He was well revered in their paradigm. Like entire constellations were named after him, or entire star formations or whatever were named after him because he discovered them. And then he came out and said, all right, this redshift is not working. It doesn't work. And then he got blacklisted from everything. Oh, man, and the stuff that's brought up has never been rebutted.
So kind of like Carrie Mullins dying right before you decide to use the PCR test, even though the inventor of it says, oh, well, you could use it to prove anybody has anything. Turn up the number enough and everybody has everything. And of course that's what they use. And then he died, end of 2019. So yeah, I don't know where the part was. It was just funny because he's like trying to make it seem like Jones has some big gotcha, and he just comes in and is like, well, is the moon a sphere? Or is the moon flat? Is the planets flat? Like, okay, that's real good evidence. Oh, is that you, Zach? Are you in here? What? I think I saw you. Oh,
by the curve, and that's the only answer.
So is that a no? Is that a no?
Curve.
The curve.
The spinning water ball thing.
Oh, sorry, that was you. I thought that was you on the picture there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there are spots that I need to talk about. Obviously, we talked about that. And that's just ridiculous. The next time, please throw that back at people's faces that say, okay, I'll take a photograph of a line that I draw straight on my screen right in front of you. And when you take that photo, it will bend. And then they can't use that ever again. What does he say about this? Let me hear this.
Discussions. All they're doing is asking for something that they don't actually want. That flat earthers will.
Yes, like that's everything that the globe's ever done. The globe. This is why I hate flat earthers are starting to go down that road. Is because this is what the globe does, right? They just make like, oh yeah, well show me this. As soon as you start talking about that, they go to a different subject. They just keep moving on. They don't actually want answers because they're not looking for the truth. They think they already have it, right? And who would be the worst person to talk to about coming to a conclusion about truth? It would be the person that already thinks they have it, because that person isn't going to listen to you. And so if that's part of the problem, is they're just like, I'm not listening to you. They don't even listen to what we say. Like this whole thing that we've been talking about, like you can tell this mountain doesn't end at a plateau, right? It's the mountain goes above the clouds. So the light from above would leave this shadow from above, but they just tell, oh no, this is coming from the bottom. Like the light is coming from up under, but we can tell that this mountain would go above there. And shadows wouldn't start from a plateau anyway, like that.
Without fail, immediately reject the very evidence they dishonestly claim to be seeking.
What kind of evidence would convince a flat earther? They keep asking for it, but deny it every time it
if it proves them wrong. I don't think that's true. I've seen no evidence to say, okay, yeah, the curvature exists. I would love to be shut up. I'd love to see that proof because it could go either way. But, you know, I don't think it's going to happen.
What would you accept as evidence?
It's been 9 years, 10 years, and they've failed to do that. What's he talking about? RB Truth here? I mean, this is like an MC Toon documentary.
Third-party images.
Yeah, it was hard.
I'm wondering if he must have wrote it.
Toon to be in it so much, and for me to be in it so much. Funny how I don't see any clips of when I just absolutely destroyed McToon.
Yeah, no, it must be that
you and him debating.
He must have done it for him, is my guess. I wonder if you were to ask
Who
him how
knows?
much Toon
Especially when I popped in on him on Discord. Oh man, the 2 times I did that were so embarrassing, bro. And Robot Polisher pulled them and made clips of them, but it's just wild. Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to talk about that. What happened the other day, last second, because that was weird. But we're gonna let it deter us. But we got Dr. Bass Ackwards. Oh, wait, we read that one. And virologist. Okay, so I'm gonna end the Q&A. I don't see any other people talking on there. Let me end that. Oh wait, there's more people. I lied. We've got Think About It. Maybe is it virologist? No, never mind. That's all of them. I'll go back to the regular chat. I'm gonna look at the Kofi. I saw one of those come through. Oops. If you guys want to talk about anything we can kind of wrap it up. We're at what time? Yeah, 3. Unless you guys have something else you want to cover or talk about, we can go there. I just wanted to show that that 8-hour film.
You think we get struck if I showed like 10 seconds of that Fly Me to the Moon movie?
We could go to Rockfin right at the end of this and just do it there.
Okay, yeah, because they
remind me, so we'll just close down YouTube in a few minutes. And
remember when Rob Skiba did that live, pulled the Earthrise off of NASA's website and showed all the boxes around it? Well, they covered that in this movie.
Oh, you have to show me. Okay. And then somebody put in the chat there the Kerry Mullins full interview. You might want to check that out. That's where he basically describes how he's being treated in the community or in the science community and what the PCR actually does. Seeing if there's anything else over here. Was it McToon that was at the big church debate or another baller show guy? Yeah, he was there. So was Duffy. I don't think they knew each other yet, but who knows? Thank you, Jeran. Congrats on Antarctica, I think. Yeah, positive mentality helps, guys. Believe it or not. I've gotten so many messages from people. A lot of people saying positive things, and a lot of people saying, "Don't go, don't do it. It's they're gonna get you." And
yeah, you guys. I mean, you can think that, but don't send those messages to Jeran. He doesn't. They don't need to hear it.
We've considered.
They don't need to hear that stuff.
And sometimes I'm just under the belief that sometimes we got to do something. Sometimes you got to force their hand and not let them have little victories they crafted, basically. They're not even real victories. So, but people just trust us to be smarter than that. And I learned a lot of lessons from Behind the Curve, number one, which, I get why people would be suspect about that. But I learned, number one, to never sign a document that says, I give away permission for you to use me however you want. That's what the actual document says. It says, we have permission to use you in any way that we see fit. So I wasn't signing it. And I was like, no. And then they just convinced me through their words by saying, oh, no, we're on the up and up and everything's going to be cool and we want to show it in a good light. And after hearing that for day after day in North Carolina and then coming home and hearing this guy follow me around the damn experiment, I've eventually just like, well, they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't being honest, right? Like, that'd be really dirtbag for them to do that. So, you just go against your judgment, you sign it. And the other thing being that I didn't have any other footage when we were out there. Right, like I was even wondering who's going to film this experiment. If I'm doing the experiment, who's going to film me doing the experiment? And then those guys called up and say, hey, we hear you're doing an experiment. Can we come film it? We've got camera crews, we've got drones, we got this, that. Like, oh, that'd be great. Yeah, come on out. But you never think to yourself, okay, well then they're the only ones with any footage, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a much different event in the fact that we're going down there. Well, Austin and I will have footage, so it's not the same as they can't come out with their version, and then we're stuck saying, yeah, that's all that there is because there's no other footage. No, we'll have our own footage. So that's different. And then the fact that we're not signing anything that says you can use us however you want, which would be asinine. And yeah, I mean, get me. Thinking back to doing that now that I've learned what I've learned, but that's what life should be about, is growing from mistakes and learning from your stupidity. And did it
maybe hurt flat Earth in some ways. Yeah, I think it did. But some people claim they would never have been looked into flat Earth if it wasn't for that movie. So it just depends on which way you look at it. Did it get a lot of publicity because of Behind the Curve? Nobody can claim that that's not the case. And now, if people just watch a movie, a hit piece movie, and choose to believe whatever it shows at the end of it, that can be made fun of by simply saying you're trusting a movie. That's what those people trust. But again, I get it. I can see why most people would say, like, oh, I don't know, is this going to be a repeat of that? Well, just trust that we're taking steps to make sure that's not the case. And that's all I can say. That I don't want that any more than you do. Believe me. And let me see what else we have here. So, any final words for you, Zach, or? Let's see if I had this.
Yeah, we're just getting ready. We got Liz, the Iron Maiden, coming in tomorrow for Flattoberfest.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're excited.
Let's talk about that. That's in what's the date of that? 2 weeks?
27th, 28th, and 29th.
27, 28, 29, and you can still get tickets, and you can use coupon code Jeranism.
Witsitgetsit.
Witsitgetsit. I think Thanks Bob is one, right? I think it's all the same percentages, 10%. So please check that out. I'm just seeing if there's anything else that I had for you here. Again, want me to go through the list of people that I have to thank for my meetup yesterday? Alvin. Okay, that was good. Done with that now. What is this part here? When your own logic backfires. What is this? Hold on a second. I want to see. Oh, that's something else. Oh, it's a pretty good clip, though. It's just you want to see somebody get handled like in a abortion conversation. Shows I put on my. But it's hilarious. This guy just gets handled by his own
Bro
stupidity.
had his own logic used against him. Check it out.
You believe that the moment after the child is outside of the birth canal, that they are now endowed with human rights.
Yes. Interesting.
However, when they are inside of the mother, literally anything you do to them is acceptable because they're inside of the mother.
Oh, no. I don't think anything is acceptable, but I think the mother should still have the choice, ultimate authority over what happens to her body.
But there's a child inside of her body.
Hold on.
What about
meth? Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
Good question. Good question.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like, I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services? I guess
Child
ECFS
services?
would be...
Oh,
it's her body, though.
You've used my logic against Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Did you hear that? Make it make sense. Let me know your thoughts and share this video to some.
Yeah, that's the point. So if we can't let pregnant women do meth because obviously they're damaging their unborn child, then why would you allow them to kill them? Oh, you're just going to kill it? Never mind. Go ahead. We thought you were going to do meth and harm that child, but if you're just going to kill it, that's fine. Take it out. Just a clump of cells.
That's a great point. Like every time someone says anything proper, you just be like, so do you think that pregnant women should be able to smoke meth?
Right. It's such a great comeback because it's the truth, right? Anybody would be like, no, they shouldn't be able to do that. Well, why not? Well, because it's going to hurt the baby. Like, yeah, but it's okay to kill it? Okay. You guys are on.
Yeah. You think that scrambling it hurts it?
Oh, boy. That's a good part. All right. Let me think here. Is there anything else going on in the chat? I think that's all I got for today. Let's see. Chat. Top chat. No, live chat. Anything else you can add? GLOBEBUSTERS, if you have anything pertinent, anything necessary, anything immediate.
Yo, play my video real fast.
Which one?
In the chat. It's in Skype.
Skype chat? Okay, 1 second. Let me get that up there.
It's on my X. It's on my X post, but I can drop the actual video if it's easier. I don't know.
No, it's fine. I'll find it. I just have to get my chat up there. I lost this Skype box.
Like a minute long.
Okay. And then I know we're going to go to Rockfin after for something that Zach wants to show. Chat. And you've got this X. Oh, what's going on with Ear? Ear's at a conference? Nice. He sent a picture. All right. This is a video from Austin here. This one. Whoops. This one here.
I don't see anything.
Oh, sorry. Move this back.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Okay. Do you want me to read the post? It seems like a long post. What you have to be a member to get a post like that? Is that why you get to post longer like that? I did like. I heard Elon in an interview explaining why all the internet's going to go to a subscription like that, even if it's just a couple bucks. He's like, think of what it does to the bots, right? Like bots can't afford to have to pay $4 a month. So if you have a platform where you just allow free access, then people create bots. There's thousands of fake people on the site. You're dealing with fakes all the time. Whereas on Twitter, by just charging a small amount, then you eliminate all those bots because nobody's going to pay. Like you could literally pay 10 cents for 1,000 bots before. Well, no one's going to pay $4 for 1,000 bots. Let me see here. So we're going with this one. So I do think sometimes a subscription model like that's good. All right. And this one says, here we have Canigou Mountains observed from over 160 miles away at an observer height of 1,000 feet. Tallest peak in the range stands at 9,136. According to the Globe Earth model, these mountains should be hidden behind over 9,968 of curvature. In fact, this observation happens predictably 2 times a year on February 8th, November 2nd. Now, here's the crucial part. In the video, you'll notice that at the beginning, the mountains aren't visible. This isn't because they're hidden behind the supposed curve of the Earth, but because as the time-lapse continues, as the sun begins to set behind them, the mountains appear. This alone debunks claims such as if the Earth were flat, you'd see the mountains every day, or you can't see the mountains because of the Earth's curvature. Or even the classic, if the Earth were flat, I should be able to see Mount Everest from New York. These arguments are not only wrong, they reflect a lack of understanding. Light attenuates, meaning that the atmosphere absorbs light as it travels. Eventually, the distant mountains fade from view because the light that they reflect is absorbed by the air. The light from the sun, however, is far more intense and can make it through the atmosphere to the observer. When the mountains are backlit by the sun's more intense light, they become visible once again. Even if you cling to the idea that these mountains are hidden behind nearly 10,000 feet of curvature, you'd have to accept the fact that the mountains are not initially visible due to light attenuation and not Earth curvature. If you showed the first moments, if you showed the first moments of this time lapse to someone who believes in the globe model, they'd likely claim it proves the Earth's curvature because the mountains seem hidden. As you'll see moments later, that's objectively false. You can continue to push that narrative after seeing the full time lapse. You're just not informed, or you're being deliberately dishonest. All right, I have to ask because I'm just a stupid video creator. Where did you get this text here?
It's a base template on CapCut on my phone.
Okay. It looks pretty nice. Seeing if there's anything in the chat. If anybody's got anything for us in the chat, speak now or forever hold your peace. Tony Coriolis in the house. So I'm just passing through here. I was out in Atlantic City hanging with Zulu One and the gang. I heard that you guys had a bunch of fun. Rethink wearing a Flat Earther shirt. Nice. Lowry in the house. Tony Coriolis, you got another plan. Okay. Dr. Bass Ackworth says the further distance you're viewing, the more stuff that has to be compressed into your limited field of vision. Right. And if you think about what we were talking about with the ramping up to your eye level and then what happens beyond that, that's why you don't see the bottom of the mountains of Canigou. It's the same thing. How would you see that? How would you expect to see that? And again, the bottom of mountains that are 175 miles away, when you can go out and see that, you start to lose boats at 20 miles away, right? Or even 10. So like, how would you expect to see the bottom of something that you're looking through the densest part of that atmosphere? The muckiest part is what's right above the water. So from a long distance, you're going to lose the bottom of anything. It's just the way it goes. Yeah, I mean, this is a great example. And he's exactly right, because any glober would take this, and if we went out there and we're like, all right, let's go see if we can see Canigou, because we're measuring whether the Earth's flat or round, and we would go out there and we would see no mountain, and the globe would proclaim victory. And they would say, look, we don't see it, therefore the Earth's a globe, it's blocked by the curvature. And then the same thing is true even like when we went out and saw our observation. Like I said, nobody saw it but the infrared. So imagine that. There's even an observation point here where you would look out and everybody with their cameras and eyes wouldn't see these mountains, but with infrared you could probably see it. I wonder if anybody's actually done that on those non-2 days, right? I wonder how much the infrared.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I wonder if they've seen that. So where does the sun go in a flat Earth model? Under the ground? Okay, well, these people are good. How you see that?
I didn't want to make the post any longer, but I almost put guaranteed all you're going to get from any glober is a deflection to something else. They're not going to address the point honestly and say, yeah, true that. They're not going to address it.
Right. They won't even address the point of the post.
Exactly.
It's like
guaranteed. I almost put that in the post. Like, watch, you won't see one of them address it. They just won't.
Right. Just go by just say, yeah, you're right. I won't say that anymore. Like that's how, society gets by, is that you have to admit sometimes when you're wrong. and then you change. And then if we all did that, then we would get closer and closer to the truth. But if everyone just digs their feet in and says, I'm not admitting I was wrong ever, then do you realize you'll never get anywhere? We'll never grow. We'll never get closer to the truth because everyone just be fighting constantly. And how that happened, I was with that guy yesterday, Alvin, and he kind of made a good point. I was like, you know what? I think you're right. He's like, you know what wrecked the world? He's like, the internet. And I'm like, thinking about it, and he's like, think of how great it was in the 80s and 90s. And now, granted, it might have been like a lull, like we might have been lulled to sleep, and our parents had no idea what was going on. The world was kind of hidden from them. So maybe the internet opened the eyes of everybody, but at the same time, it just changed the world in the fact that everybody's afraid to admit they were wrong. Everybody knows all the answers. Everybody digs their feet in. Everybody hates each other because you have a different opinion. In the 80s and 90s, it didn't exist. I didn't even hear people talk about things like that in the 80s and 90s. I remember asking my dad, like, Dad, who did you vote for president? And he's like, what? That's a private thing. You don't ask somebody that. I'm like, oh, sorry. But it's like nowadays, I mean, you are the person you're voting for. You are Kamala Harris. You
wear it on your shirt,
right,
your hat, your bumper sticker, and
I put signs in my yard, and if you come and put your guy's sign in my yard, I'll burn it. And it's like, holy smokes, what happened?
People putting razor blades on signs because other people were stealing them and stuff like that, and electrocuting
Crazy.
them.
What is going on in this world? I swear to God. And we're not going to get any
Electrocute
closer.
one's pretty funny. I'm all for it.
I think, and they got the cameras on the grass, so at least we get to see it.
Yeah. One's gonna come steal your sign, like whatever. They can get shocked a little bit.
Yeah, you don't stay off people's lawns, would you? Is the sunlight a projection across a faceted surface?
Is that what was it?
It says, is the sunlight a projection across a faceted surface?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Sure.
And you're digging yours that the earth is flat. What the fuck is this? No, I'm not digging my feet in. I'm following evidence. Hello. Wake up. There's a difference. I'm not digging my feet in and saying, no matter what the world shows me, I believe the earth's flat forever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm following the evidence. There's a big difference. We're talking about people that won't follow the evidence and continue to say that this isn't, that we should be able to see Spain from the east coast of the United States. And we're saying we can't even see this mountain at 175 miles away. Do you understand the difference? Can you follow along? What is this? Austin, call Lowry or myself. We have one Sunday open. All right. Well, I don't see anything else here. How you see the mountains lit up. Wait, sorry. How you see the mountains lit up as the sun hits it is how the moon should look during an eclipse. How you see the mountains lit up as the sun hits it. What?
That's an interesting point. He's saying, like, as the moon approaches the sun in the eclipse in their model, you should start to see it fade into view like you do the mountains.
Oh, got you. Yeah, because you don't really see it like that.
You don't see that at all. You do. You just see it once it's in front. You know.
Hey, so if they've heard, this is an idea I had never followed up on, but
so, can I get a stillman answer though, because I don't like to say stuff like they're evident. It's obviously that the sun's so far away from the moon. Right. That's the answer. You wouldn't really see it slowly glide up with like a gradient, same way that you would here. That's what they would claim, and you would say, "Oh, the sun's far away from the mountains too." Yes, but the sun's also in the atmos. That's actually what's interacting with the mountain. Although I'm not gonna, like, do you see what I'm saying? So like it's actually the light, it's the atmos, the light in the atmos around the mountains that cause that gradient to light up. Because the atmos, the light in the atmos is getting brighter and brighter around the mountain as the sun approaches. So you begin to see the mountain even before the sun's behind it. But of course, in their model, the moon doesn't have atmos around it, and that wouldn't happen until it was a direct line of sight, a syzygy.
Gotcha. Christy Laws. Yeah, admit when you're wrong, Jeran. Okay. I will. Thank you for that.
Jeran admitted to me in confidence that the Bible's completely true beginning to end.
In confidence. Don't tell anybody. I believe that.
Yeah. Well, we signed a contract. It was over yesterday. So we're good.
Don't show people the contract.
Sign an NDA, bro.
I said I'd never do that. Come on. Yeah, it's not digging my heels in that the Earth's flat. I don't know why somebody would say that. If we were just saying, nope, it's flat no matter what, it's flat regardless of anything I ever see, no one said that. Or not, saying me. No, I've never said that. All right, that is, I believe, it. What do you have coming up this week, Austin?
I think I'm finally going to announce the site, which don't say the name of it. I think you know, but announce the new site, and we'll be able to stream directly there. So when some things are maybe not YouTube friendly, it'll always be on my site natively streamed. There'll be a chat there, stuff like that. So that'll be cool, because I got attacked pretty hard with the whole people that shall not be named content. My subscription started getting attacks and stuff. So anyway, yeah, so reveal that, and I think we may have a pretty crazy debate this week that I'm moderating. Dustin Nemos and Brother Nathaniel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like who are the Jews, basically. So
okay,
that should be very interesting. So yeah, we'll stop there. A few potential appearances, maybe some spaces. Follow me on X, and if you ever want to know if I'm going to be in a space, it'll if you're on X and you follow me, it'll say Witsit speaking in a space, and then you can go check it out. But yeah, and then of course we got
Do you post anywhere when you're going to be on those spaces anymore, or no? Just they have to follow you on Twitter, and then they'll know.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. I don't know where I would post it though, because I like maybe my Telegram.
Yeah, I think if people get used to something and you do it every time, then people will follow it, and you probably see more people watch that. Because I never know when you're going to be on there, but if I follow you on Twitter though, will I be notified or something if you are on a space or no? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it'll say Witsit speaking in this way, so you'll be notified when I'm on the speaker panel.
Okay, cool.
I'm in there. I've been getting pulled up in these spaces with some pretty big.
Well, I keep getting links. People keep sending me links like, "Oh, Austin's on this and Austin," and I never know how they know. So okay, it's good to know that. I'm like, how did they know he was doing that? I didn't
have to actually be on X, and it'll tell you like what's it speaking in a space.
Okay, gotcha.
So basically, what happens? Whoever you're following, if they're in a space speaking, it'll be at your top of the screen. It'll be purple, and they'll show you what spaces they're in, even if you don't follow the person hosting the space, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, sorry, I was watching some of this Polaris Dawn stuff. I thought there was something else I was going to show, but I don't have it now. Let me check one thing on here. Make sure I move it to my saved on Telegram. No, not there. Okay, I think that's it. All right, and for me this week, what I have coming up, I know that we've got the Wednesday show, which is the Reefer Roulette. Check that out. Wednesdays at 4:20 p.m. Pacific time, and then the Jeranism show debuts on Friday, or the new Jeranism show will be Friday at 3, and I believe that's it off the top of my head. And then we've got another VIP hangout on Saturday, so I'll be letting people know who that VIP hangout guest will be. We always hang out. We've had Witsit, we've had Weiss and Rose and Conspiracy Music Guru and Karen B and Dawn and Mark Sargent and Patricia. So we've had quite a cast of characters. If you want to join the VIP, go to wap.com/Jeranism. And we have a good time over there. Meet every other Friday night for crypto class and every first and third Saturday for a little hangout. Okay, I think that's it. Any final words, guys?
Nope.
All right.
Negative.
All right, we'll see you guys soon. Be kind to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There is truth inside. Do I want to play that? Do I have an outro? Do you guys want to hear the Home Depot song that somebody made? They think it's really funny, so I'll show it. It's about me and Home Depot, I guess. Somebody can't quite understand what I was talking about, so they made a song about it. I'll let that play on the way out of here, though. All right. Oh, no, we're going to Rockfin. We're not playing that song. I lied. I'm going to close down YouTube. See you guys at YouTube. Be kind to each other. Don't lie. Open your mind. There's truth inside. Peace. All right. So that's ending that at YouTube. All right. What do you want to show?
It's a just like a 10-second clip of